everyone, and welcome back to the Northern League of Legends Championship. Today marks the second day of playoffs, and if you think for a second that Monday was the most exciting day we could hope for, then you have no idea what we have in store for you today. It is Dusty, it is Vanir, fourth team versus fifth one, and if you look into the regular split, Vanir won the first one, Dusty won the second one. So today we finally get to see who's the best team and who's going to move on to face Riddle in the semifinals. My name is Alexandre Archaron Maya. I'm your host for the day. And if you want to talk about the road that brought them in, what could have happened? What could have hoped for? We need to introduce the analyst for today. It is the amazing and wonderful Trouble Spears alongside with the Ice King Nymera.
What the heck? I mean, I was prepared for something. I'm prepared for like 90% of what you're going to say. The last defense is just a complete wild card. Like the wild card kind of game that we had just before this last game day. How dare you have such an exciting game before I'm on the show?
Can't even give him like a slight quote because we're going to get DMCA'd now. But how was I supposed to know?
Ooh, nobody knew that. And that's why you have to expect the unexpected. And that's why we have to introduce the casters at the desk today. It is him, Brain, along with Jamada.
Hey, finally in studio. We did it. It's been over a year, but we made it. I'm so excited to have you. Anyway, do you want a cool fact?
Yes.
Do you know pigeons can remember human faces? So you thought there were no witnesses, but they saw. And they're going to go and tell your local authorities. I'll come over to you.
Love it. That's a way of saying I feed a lot in League of Legends, and the pigeon reminds that.
But don't feed them bread. Feed them bread.
Well, actually, I let one make their nest in my balcony. And because they remembered us, they kept coming every single... It was a mess to clean up. Don't let them do that.
I just remember living for years back in England, just every morning going, hoo, for hours on end. It haunts me.
All the babies sound even worse.
No, I know that.
What happened to the broadcast out of nowhere? Hiprain, thank you so much for the derail today. Okay, we look back into Monday. We have Riddle versus JDXL, and nobody was expecting what happened. Can you tell me anything?
I'll let you
justify this.
You know what? I'll let you go first because my blood pressure's going to rise again.
You were there. I had to look on and watch the highlights and go, what the heck? This is meant to be a really easy thing to prep for. Surely JDXL just sweep this series. But they didn't. They took the first game, and that's where the good news stopped, because MC turned up to play. Actually, the whole of Riddle turned up to play. This has forever been a team where we're thinking, okay, there is a small chance that they all turn up to play on the same day. We haven't seen it yet. We're not counting our chickens before they hatch. But this is where they took flight. Seriously good early games, denying JDXL the ability to choke out a lot of the games which they've done in the regular season, and they turned up in such an important moment for this team.
And I really love the fact that we mentioned that Riddle would usually be a one-man team. Somebody would show up on the day, would carry the entire
Who's
team.
hyper-carrying today?
And yes, even though I agree that MC found himself on the top of the pyramid, I feel like to build this pyramid, every single piece fit perfectly on that pyramid. I felt like the bot lane from Riddle would not be able to match Zamulek and Kikis, especially on the roaming department. They absolutely did, and they even took them on 2 versus 2. I felt like a lot of the times, tops of the map, especially Kekt, he's had some questionable performances. He was the weak side top lane king on that particular series. And I think the most mind-blowing thing, because every time we talk Excel, we're like, holy shoot, how are we going to shut down MNS? He can legitimately play every single champion in the champion pool. Well, let me tell you what, because we had been putting our finger on Slowkey the entire season, the questionable packages with the Corki, the damage output in the late game. He shut down MNS 150% on that best of. The mid-jungle duo from Riddle did wonders.
Yeah, and obviously on the other side of this, there has to be a loser because there was a winner as well. And we are left very early on with a playoffs bracket where JDXL are not going to be in EU Masters. I don't know what that necessarily. I don't necessarily know what this means for a whole region, because this was a pre-split favorite, a pre-playoffs favorite, and Riddle absolutely demolished them as the series went on. Seriously impressive from that team, and honestly, we're left with a really interesting scenario now.
So far, I've had the pleasure to talk with most of the coaches, with interviews and all that, and all of them say to me, like, I would really like to play versus JDXL because they're really exciting to play against. And now everybody's saying, what happened? Like, that is really confusing as well. You have
While I was gone, you broke my league. What did you do?
Okay,
And
I just want to say that probably what happened is that we single-handedly took Excel out as a crew. 'Cause we all predicted 3-0 and 3-2 and 3-1 victories, all for Excel. So I really hope that the predictions today are a little bit mashed, so we don't curse anyone again.
I'm not gonna spoil
Sorry,
it
Excel.
yet. So before we do that, let's look into the bracket that is going to happen. Now, JDXL are gone. Riddle 3-1. It was not even close. It was like 3-2, so it was 3-1. Beautiful to start off. Today it is Dusty versus Vanir. To me, this is one of the most exciting matches we have in the bracket. Then whoever wins this one will jump into the semi to face off versus Riddle, and at the top of it, Bifrost versus X7. First place versus second one. Throughout the entire split, we thought, oh, X7 are going to finish in first one. Bamboozle, there we go, Bifrost and X7. They're waiting for Saturday, so every single day of playoffs is a banger.
I would just like to reiterate how important the Excel versus Riddle match was, because Riddle came in as the last place playoffs team, the last place. And yes, Excel found themselves in third, but that was due to ties. Excel was tied first, both
All
with
on-
Bifrost
yeah.
and with X7. So you can't technically say that Excel was first. Riddle took down one of our top teams in the league.
Now, moving on, it's time to meet the teams. And to start off, we're going to start up with Dusty, a team that shook a little bit at the beginning of the split. It is true, we can say that, but out of a sudden, they've been in the rise. They've been so strong. What makes them like the strength of Dusty and the weaknesses as well?
Okay, the thing is, with Dusty, we didn't have any expectations. Again, I'm saying this every single time for Dusty, but the
Hang
results...
on, you did a monologue on this team.
The results in the NLC historically have not been great. They have been dancing with the devil of getting out of the NLC a lot of the times, and they bounce back up and suddenly move in again. And that has been a reoccurring issue with Dusty, but this roster has managed to turn the tides upside down. They were tied, they were close to fourth place. Towards the end, latter 8 stages of the split, actually the whole team came together, and where we had a team where we're like, their jungle looks pretty good. He's very aggressive. He's probably like one of the best we have in the NLC. But what if they pin him down? Then the rest of the team came to back him up.
And if you allow me to give you a cookie, I know you enjoy a lot
Wait, you
of
give him a
stats.
cookie?
Yeah, a small cookie. It's not a big cookie. I can
you
share
share
it.
the
Okay, in the end, I can share it.
We'll see.
I
I know you
Depends how
love
good it is.
statistics, and we've talked
Right.
about this. Dusty, every single time they're ahead at 15 minutes, it is 91% win rate,
Okay, so
which goes with the win lane win game.
hang on,
Luden,
but hang on.
Luden Seco Ari is really good, Cookie.
Let me talk. I don't like. All right, look, I don't like statistics in League of Legends because they're not that advanced, right? A lot of the time, they actually don't tell you much, and you have to match it up with the eye test. That is something which matches up with the eye test. It is so out there. You look at it and you say, yeah, if Dusty get ahead, they stay ahead, they win the damn game. So I think in this series as well, when we've talked about, of course, we'll get on to talk about Vanir later, but early game, as it so often will be, but even more so in this game, it's going to be absolutely pivotal.
And I've got a stat to back you up, because
Do I have
I
a
like
cookie?
stats as well. Yes.
Share cookies.
No, because you didn't give me a cookie. You gave him the cookie, so you're not getting one. I'm eating it myself.
Sorry, it's very tasty. I actually enjoyed it a lot. You should get one sometime.
So, my stat is that FGG at 15 is minus on XP difference. And this ties very well with their win if they're ahead in the early game, because this madman will not see his AD carry for the first 6 to 7 minutes of the game. He will roam the entire
I'm just
map.
going to get a carton of
He
milk
will-
from the gas
he
store.
will, he will typically be 1 to 2 even levels below enemy support, but on the same time, he would have gotten one of the solo lanes ahead together with Viking, and this is where the win lane, win game comes straight out of Gobook's book for, because FTG will get someone ahead, and that someone knows what to do with the lead that they have in their hands, and that is so important, because this is what makes them a multi-dimensional threat team, because if FTG stays bot lane, then it pops off. If FTG goes mid or top, then they get to pop off, and it's a very difficult strategy to shut down when you have so many people that can carry your
Can
game.
we just put FGG just on the graphic then at that point? Just be like...
It's a little bit too late now, but we could certainly do it at the end of the day. Now, I gave you a cookie. I'm going to give you an entire cake. And this is why I sat down with the coach from Dusty to understand how is the team mentality and how can they look into this series. Take a look. Second round of the quarterfinals will be Dusty versus Vanir. And I have the pleasure to talk with Dusty's coach, Zen, before the match begins. Welcome beforehand. And it's a pleasure to have you again in the interview. And my first question for you is, Dusty lost in the first half of the split versus Vanir, but on the second half, you guys won versus Vanir on the beautiful way. Let's call it this way.
what do you feel is the difference between Dusty in the first half of the split for the second half?
Well, I mean, first half of the split, as you said, didn't go so well. I mean, we had a 0-3 week and then a couple of 1-1 weeks, so our results were a little bit mixed. We were also playing poorly internally as well. We had some issues with losing a lot of games in practice as well, and that always brings the team down, right? But it's usually in any sort of split progression, every team usually has times when it's really bad and times when it's really good. And we had that very early on, almost at the complete beginning of the split when things were really tough. But I'm always under the impression of almost every single team goes through like a crisis period at some point during the split, and it's better to have that at the beginning than it is for playoffs, for example. So at the beginning we had a bit of a bit of a poor performance. We went 0-3 in the first week, and like I said, a couple of 1-1 weeks. But if you actually look at it after that 0-3 week at the beginning, we actually went 11-4 for the rest of the split, right? So if you take away that really poor first week, we actually played really well. I mean, we only I think lost well, most of the games we lost to Excel and X7.
Yeah.
So I mean, those games, at least I think one of them at least was very winnable, and then the other three we played quite poorly. But I do think that in the second half of the split, I mean, the players obviously stepped up a lot. We kind of found our groove as well. What works for us at the beginning of the split, we weren't quite so sure what kind of strategy we want to play, what champions we want to play. And then we found a bunch of different things that would work, but I think that the thing that made the most difference was the mentality shift. I think once we start getting a couple of wins, people start getting a little bit of a headwind. They start feeling a little bit better, a little bit more positive. And then as the split went on, right, we just kind of scaled into that, right? They just went better and better and better. And now, I mean, I do have to say that probably scrims are going the best they've ever have. And the team is feeling pretty confident going into the future as well. So I do feel like we're probably the best we're going to be at this particular moment.
Those are good words for Dusty. And since you guys are improving, you guys are adapting, and the mental strength is better nowadays. Can you tell me where the real strength of Dusty lies upon? Where do you think Dusty excels as a team?
Well, I do think that our team fighting, especially our skirmishing as well, I think is really strong. I think once we get into team fights, once we get into skirmishes, even 3v4s, 3v5s, sometimes. I mean, at least I think on stage we haven't had these moments, but in practice as well, we're really good at actually executing the team fights themselves. Especially again on a good day, right? That gets amplified by a lot. But I do feel like obviously our early games have been really strong. I think that I was showing the stat the other day to my team that when we have a lead by 15 minutes, we actually have like a 92% win rate,
Yes.
something like this, which is really crazy. I mean, usually even like really good teams. I mean, obviously, if you have like a 90% win rate, then that stat is going to be like a little bit so. But we do have like a bit of losses as well, right? So we have 7 losses, 11 wins. So with 7 losses, right, and a 90% win rate at 15 minutes, that statistic becomes a little bit more relevant, right? So if we're behind in the early game, we have a little bit more trouble. And if we're ahead in the early game, then usually we manage to close it out, right? But I would say that, again, it's more of a mental thing. I think when we're behind, it's a little bit harder to see opportunities, to see things in the game, what to do, and also it's a little bit demoralizing, right? It's a lot easier to play when you have the confidence going in, right? And also each best of one is slightly different in terms of how you're approaching it. So some best of ones, when the game starts going poorly, you're just like, you're a little bit oh. The game didn't go as we expected, right? Especially for example, if you go into a game thinking, okay, we're gonna stomp these guys, right? We're gonna play super well, and then like you're 8 minutes into the game, the enemy has like 4 kills, and you're like 1k 2k down, right? So expectations versus reality, it's a little bit different. Then it can be very demoralizing, right? So I do feel like, at least for us, that mental aspect carries a lot of weight for us, right? If we're expecting to win and then we start losing, it's harder to claw ourselves back into the game. Although I will say that was more of a problem at the beginning of the split than now. I do feel like like I said, when we have a day where we're all focused, even when we're really far down, maybe again we haven't maybe shown that much of that on stage, but for example, even in practice against some of the best European teams, even when we're really far down, if it's our day, right, we claw it back, we fight to the death. and we usually find those comebacks, right? Even in the most desperate of situations. So I do feel like that was a big thing.
In a good day, Dusty is capable of taking every single team. The meme stays alive, and let's see what happens throughout the playoffs. Thank you so much for this interview, and best of luck for the games today.
Thank you very much.
And if you have issues with the team, better resolve it at the beginning of the split than at the end. And Dusty seems like they're the top of their game now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff to dive in there. But just to bring it out to the bigger picture, because obviously we're focused hyper on the mentality of Dusty, I'd love to draw a parallel between Dusty and Riddle at this point, because think of how both these are very momentum-based teams. I think that this series, regardless of who wins, is going to be almost a like-for-like in the lower bracket, like second round as well. This is going to be a really interesting lower half of that bracket, regardless who makes it further forward. But both of these teams are starting to come into this with some real strong second half performances to bolster themselves in this series.
Yeah, and I would really like to reiterate what was said as well. 11-4 at the latter stages of the tournament of their first. Coming in as one of the teams that are almost relegated every season historically to having one of the cleanest latter of the split records that we have. Coming from a team like Dusty is just insane. And honestly, I cannot wait to see that team in a best-of, because so far we've seen all these teams in a best-of-1 scenario, but best-of is the show what teams are actually made of.
The way he talks about mentality, and at this stage, you really need to be at the top of your game. If you have like on the dictionary mentality, it's Riddle on the side, but I want to see it today because obviously Dusty
Maybe there's like
Vanir,
a thesaurus with Vanir.
they're almost at the same side, like Dusty and Vanir. Now we're jumping into the V to Vanir to understand what...
V for Vanir.
V for Vanir at this point.
I don't remember Hugo Weaving being in that movie.
The core strengths and the areas of improvement as well for this team. This is another team that has been sneaking by, like, oh, we're just stepping by in the league, and then boom, playoffs.
Well, you say that, but then actually, I mean, Vanir were a team that started out like 4-0. They went on an early win streak, and you were a very early believer on them. And I mean, congrats for sticking on that train. I was actually not on it for quite a while.
What can I say? I'm a Hero fan.
I love this person, by the way. I'm just going to let it out. Yeah, this is a specimen of a person.
But I wasn't necessarily on the Vanir train for quite a while. There was still a little bit that they needed to prove to me. But, you know, at this point, I think they've well and truly done that. I think that, you know, as much as you can meme about Panty supports and everything else, Quixoth has been so important to this team as well. I think a Noodle, I think as Quixoth, as being the tip of the spear, literally, and in their picks as well, and with the Jin Zhao, with the Pantheon and the like, to start this early game off so strongly. And that's why it is going to be such an interesting best of 5, even with those early game stats from the likes of Dusty. When they get ahead early, they tend to win. I think Vanir are going to give them a really hard time to achieve that.
I think similarly to what was said by Dusty's coach, Zen, I think also Vanir have a pretty good team fighting when it comes to late game. Now, what is contrary is what Namera said, because V sort of shows you the stages that Vanir goes through in a game. They start really strong, their mid game is a little bit sucky, and then it goes back to late game and they actually slap you in the face. But the early game doesn't necessarily mean that it's good because it's explosive. The guys know what they're going in with. They know the plan, they execute the plan. Either if the plan is do not contest anything, #we scale, let them engage us, they'll do that. They will not necessarily go into fights they cannot take. And this is why they're so good at executing the plans, right? And then when mid-game comes, I think this is what I've put here on the areas of improvement, because their drafts are lacking a lot of the hard engage and the CC and the lock and the lock-in is the reason why their mid-game gets a little bit shaky, because when it comes to actually going for these dragon fights, executing, contesting, they can't necessarily do that. Sometimes they try, they fail, they go down in gold. Come late game, having the items that they need, allowing their opponents to play their own game and then capitalize on mistakes is what Vanir really strives on.
And just to tag on to the one of the points in there I was trying to cut in with, it's just like, it's the precise aggression, right? It's the precise aggression. It's not mindless. There is actually
this one right here?
And that very much helps, right? But it's not just like, I'm just going to go in for every fight. There's a certain like thought process behind it.
Okay, and call me a baker because I have another one for you guys. It was with Flash, where he actually goes into detail the V situation and gives us an answer why that is a thing for Vanir. So don't skip this one.
Okay, now I have the pleasure to talk with Flash, the coach from Vanir. Welcome, Flash, to begin this. And obviously there was a big meme of Vanir in the beginning of the split, where you guys have a good early, go down in the mid. But I think it's kind of fixed nowadays. Can you tell me how did you fix that and how did the team adapt?
Yeah, I can tell that we had some issues at the beginning of the split. It was especially because we couldn't train the mid game and the late game on scrims that much because we were stomping enemies early and they didn't want to play later on. So we had a lot of remakes. The game were like lasting only 20 minutes, so we couldn't train it at all. So I tried to look for better teams. So we that could actually abuse our mistakes and also hold till the mid game. So we could also focus on that. So that was the goal, and I think we achieved that. So our mid game and late game got better and better, which you could see, for example, in the X7 game, we were looking for the opportunities, even if we were that behind, and we managed to win. So yeah, that's how it was looking like.
There is a beautiful topic that we don't get to talk often: the bubble, the scrim bubble, where you scrim a lot of teams and you adapt to a certain meta or a certain play style, and then you go to official matches and it's really different. So you think Vanir found a new bubble team, and this is why Vanir just upgrading a lot in the second half of the split.
Yeah, like recently, like in 2, 3, or like overall last month or month and a half, we were screaming versus top ERL teams like from the LVP. We also had opportunity to play versus the LFL teams. So we actually could pull out a really, really decent practice versus them and learn a lot. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Now, looking into Dusty versus Vanir, you guys are tied up 1-1. You won at the beginning of the split. On the second half of the split, they won versus you. Are you preparing something spicy for this BO5, or are you just looking at a normal way? Okay, we need to adapt. We need to understand what you're going to play and how they play.
Um, Honestly, we will see how it will go. We have something prepared. We have the champions we didn't play in a while, or we didn't play at all. Just that can fit the enemy champion pool and would be really nice for us also. But we'll see how it goes because like during the playoffs, during the best of fives, there is a meta within a meta. So sometimes the games may differ a lot from the what we have seen in the regular split. So we will see how it will go, but I think everyone have a positive attitude, and we will do our best.
Okay. Where do you think Vanir outplays Dusty? Where do you think is the real strength of Vanir versus Dusty? Can you tell us?
I think like from what I seen and what I like watched when I watched the game of the Dusty, I think the strongest team member that they rely on is Viking, and the success of Dusty is overall because of the Viking performance later on. We could see that he was doing a lot of really really good ganks. He was shadowing his teammates a lot. He was also doing a lot of lane ganks. Especially their bot side is really strong, and that's how they were snowballing the games. But I think this is something we can play around, and I think our strong side is like strong part of the team is the early game that we can snowball really well, but also we are doing really well in the mid and into the late game. Recently we managed to train a lot of macro game and lane assignment and setting up the waves. So I think we are not scared at all, but we have to look what is Viking doing, and we can play around it a little bit.
I think both junglers will be core in this series. I think they're really aggressive as well. There's no way to say that only one of those junglers are going to be aggressive in the early game. So it's going to be a bloodbath, at least in my opinion. It's going to be great to watch. But at the end of the day, when all dust settles, what do you think is the score between Vanir, Dusty, and who is going to take it?
Like honestly, I'm much more better during the playoffs. During the best of fives, I'm more creative. I see more things, and I can adapt really well to that. So I think it would be 3-1 for Vanir.
Okay, so you lose a game, but at the end of the day, you take 3 home, and it's more than enough for Vanir to move on into playoffs. So thank you so much for this interview, Flash. And I want to see what happens. Vanir versus Dusty. We cannot miss this game, and best of luck.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Really good insights into what we're about to watch as well. I love the idea of teams didn't want to play us in the mid game because we were stomping them in the early. That's something you have
Yeah,
to
but
take
that's
into
something they should
consideration.
have made research on because the mid game.
But again, like kind of as we came out of the last interview, kind of brought it out to a bigger picture of the playoffs bracket. I think we can bring it out to an even larger picture here from this one in terms of we heard about Vanir scrimming other ERL teams, getting towards the LFL teams and stuff like that. And again, this is first rounds of playoffs for us, and for so often we have been, you know, you'll hear it a lot from us, and particularly this one TikToker called G Trouble Inc. We consider ourselves to be a bit of the small, you know, seen as a small fish.
You know what to do.
Seen as a bit of a small fish, seen as a bit of like the region which is overlooked. But when you've got teams like Vanir who are, you know, a mid-table team in the NLC, starting to get that relevant practice against the big fish in the pond, being able to hit upwards, not even being a top 3 team, it's giving me good feelings.
And let's say what it is, right? Vanir is technically a no-name in the Nordics as well. They just joined the NLC. I just want to remind what happened when K-Corp first joined the LFL, and we're like, who are these guys? They're stomping everyone.
Oh, that influencer
Where'd they
team.
come from?
Yeah.
Right? And suddenly we have, maybe it's Vanir, you know? Maybe it's Vanir for the NLC. Honestly, after what happened on Monday, I am open-minded about everything because I had my eyes set on Bifrost X7 and XL, and I'm like, it's a shame we don't get 3 seeds because they can all make it. And it was like, nope, if we had 3 seeds, we're here, boys.
I say this is one of those matches where early game will be completely bloodbath. Both junglers will try to get a lot of aggression, and I don't know who's going to take this one regarding the junglers. Can you give me some sort of insight before we move on?
I actually think, and I was chatting with Jamada about this too, I think that if you are Dusty in this game, I reckon you throw one game at just 3-banning Noodle, picking a jungler first and say, you know what, you're not going to have a good jungler. See how you get through your early game at that point. I actually wonder if that's going to be a technique which works.
I raise you my Uno reverse card because I would really like, since they said that Dusty really relies on Viking making the plays for them,
Then
you ban you put 3 bans
what we're
onto
saying is
Viking and
blue
take
side
the
is
Zinza for
junglers.
So what
Noodle.
we're saying is blue side is OP, like specifically in this best
I'm
of
just
five.
gonna say one thing, man.
the
I'm just gonna,
junglers.
okay, guys, I'm just gonna say
Wrap it
one
up,
thing.
yeah.
Apparently, XL were making the wrong bans because suddenly they had to ban 3 junglers versus MC and then they still lost. So
Jungler
I'm saying.
OP, let's see. But
always.
we shall all see as well.
And a jungler
What are
wins
the predictions? What did the entire team predict?
Oh, thank God, no jinx this time.
It's kind of tied up. It's kind of tied up. And everybody believes, almost everybody believes in the 3-2. Only Viper wants to go to bed early.
I mean, so this is another really interesting thing because we actually had really similar doubts because I voted for Dusty 3-2, and when I turned up today, I was like, you know what? I got this feeling it's going to be Vanir. Maybe I should change. No, it's too late. I'm not going to do it. So I'm sat there right on the edge.
I did the same.
You were doing exactly the same the other way.
And I was like, oh no, I went to Vanir. Now I'm thinking Dusty's gonna win because I think their bot lane's really good. And then you were like, yeah, but think of the top lane from the side of it. I was like, oh no, this is too close. I think all predictions are pretty much correct because this game is gonna be
Roll the dice. We'll see what happens.
We have a champion select about to begin, but
the coin.
before we do that, I want to ask you, do you want to change it mentally? Like, it's completely sealed. Do you think it is Dusty or Vanir? Like, this is the real prediction now.
No,
I'm giving you the
I'm
chance.
staying with it because I'm stubborn.
And I'm staying with my Vanir prediction because even though Sahira did me dirty, I'm still in the fan club.
Okay, so predictions are going to be
Locked.
cement at
Locked
this
and
point.
loaded.
No more. It's locked in. And now, finally, time to move on for the first champion select of the day. And in order to do that, we need to go to the desk. So we need some light show. Welcome back to the desk. This
Alrighty.
means we have the first champion select of the day. It's like this. Always rolling on the NLC. We keep rolling.
We're on the road.
Thresh is going to be the first one, so it doesn't mean that junglers are going to be
So
banned.
there's that side of things, but I actually wonder, because again, half of the early game plan for Vanir is Noodle. I think a large part of the remainder of that is Quicksith. I wonder if you can do the same with supports and get FGG, then your really early game player into a better matchup. Either way, I think hard focusing one player and say, look, you're going to be in a really difficult spot to play out early game against a stronger pick from us on a first pick or something. I think that might be a good angle.
So, in my opinion here, I really love how you mentioned FTG because I feel like bot lanes are going to be very, very important in this particular best-of series. I think Kevo and Venza are two extremely important gears in the entire machine for their teams, and especially for Venza, that has been questionable in the very early stages of the season and then popped off in any hypercarry he's actually touched. And then we have Kevo, which is the exact opposite. He thrives on things like Lucian, Ezreal, Zeri. The more mobile, the more I'll poke you from far away, but I'll also make the plays. I think they're extremely, extremely important for the teams. This is why you see like a lot of bans thrown towards Quickstep, so Kevo cannot play too comfortably.
And then we get away, we have Sahira's rise off the table.
Is it happening?
Are we going to have binoculars out?
Rel.
This is the thing. I mean, Vanir said that, and you're like, well, we're not going to get rid of all of the early game champ. We're not going to get rid of all of the priority champions. We're not going to get rid of the Aphelios Jinx in entirety as well. Let's just go towards something with the nameplates on. I mean, FGG's Rel is by far their best champion. It is
Okay, but are they going to
scary.
lock Jinx Zhao? Are they going to lock Jinx Zhao here?
I mean, I think that's a good idea, right? Because it is one of the few champions which does very well in something like the Hecarim. You have wave control from the Jinx to allow you to push in and play through bot side against that too on the first clear in the first 3-4 waves. That would be a good direction to go towards. Or maybe you lock in another early game champion, you lock in the Jin Zhao third if you don't want to hide anything currently. But
Oh, what a surprise, man.
there you go, good
No
call.
one saw this coming.
No,
Vanir have never done this before
They've
on
never
Red
done
side.
this before.
On Red side,
Never
they've
done
never
this
done this before.
But it works. What is the answer now towards this? Because I believe Noodle will focus so much Viking on this one to do like that.
you've got Ventus Aphelios. You've got Ventus Aphelios open. You can put any support you want next to it. You can put the Leona. Ooh.
Okay, yeah, so then choosing not to go towards...
Ooh.
Okay, so this is really, really interesting because
This happened before.
So I was wondering if this was going to be Aphelios... I thought this was going to be Aphelios Nautilus potentially to fight early, but this is more about, again, just that real oppressive style. You lock down that bot lane, you say you're never going to get wave control. As much as you're playing around that Jin Zhao, things get really, really...
I'd lock in Gangplank here, 100%.
Yes.
Now, what I will say at this point, if you lock in that GP, which it is, this is prime, like, LPL level 2 bot territory. You have a Hecarim that can't counter gank on the first kind of clear. This could legitimately be Noodle red into bot level 2. That's been something we've seen across a number of regions against Caitlyn when it's been prioritized.
So I'm going to bring us to this region because I remember a particular interview from Viking when they had played the Caitlyn Lux in the bot lane and they've left the Gangplank open on the other side, and he said, we didn't expect the Gangplank. It was an absolute mess to play against. I'm having nightmares about this champion, and now the Gangplank has been open. So I'm looking for something that could completely smash the Gangplank in lane, because you can't have him have a lot of impact on other lanes without actually smashing him.
I would love to see something like a Cannon. Cannon would be so fun here because it allows you to play around big burst team fights too at the same time. It allows you to set up your own flanks. Of course, something like a Camille is also on the table, but you need another form of engage because your Lux isn't going to do that with the Hecarim. Hecarim needs someone else to add in just the extra punch.
I raise duel for Quickstep now. Because the last time this happened, it was Venzer with Caitlyn Lux. He ended 11 kills ahead, and he destroyed the Jinx Karma.
I'd like to raise you Buckland's LeBlanc that has gone through the entirety of the bans, and he matches Hecarim really well because he can jump in the backline together with the Hecarim and wreak havoc on the Jinx.
I want to make maybe a bold prediction. This is actually this is a really good Blitzcrank angle. Blitzcrank out of the remaining supports is pretty okay into Kate Lux. One of the last times I saw Lux support was into a Blitzcrank. The Blitzcrank did some dirty things to it. And it gives you the ability to sit on your barrels and wait for a big hook. I don't know if that's going to happen, but because the Nautilus is already gone, as one of the few champions that can fight at the level 1 gone, it's unlikely. And it helps you more in the mid game where, of course, Vanir might need that extra go button.
So you get the
I would have loved to see the Blitzcrank. That would have been great.
You can destroy the Lux, though. If you are able to dodge that cube and stack upon him, you have the damage of Jinx, the Chompers as well. That's a lot of damage. And it's revenge for him as well. Kivo wants this revenge.
He does?
He does. He died a lot in the last game. He got demolished by
I mean, Venzer did too. It's a one-for-one scenario right here. I'm
It's
just wondering
not
what
an
they're
80
gonna-
carries life.
They need something to dive the backline. Ari could do that for them. LeBlanc could do that for them. They're going to choose to go with the easier approach here, which is going to be the Ari. Remember again what happened to Eminence. If you do punish this Ari pre-6, it is very difficult. It becomes very difficult for her, especially if she loses summoner spells.
You shouldn't be able to do that as much because the bot lane, though, because the bot lane's drawing the pressure, which you could put towards
Do it.
that mid lane. Now, this is, of course, now prime time for Aelec to pull out something to bully out that Gangplank. It needs to be something with a bit more engage as well. Now you've got mixed damage solo lanes. That definitely helps. And that would be wonderful. It'd be lovely. I'm not sure Pantheon mid is the answer here, Archer. I'm going to
What do
bring
you
you back
mean you
from the
can
break.
punish Ari?
Into Ari. It's okay into
No, it's
Ari.
not. You cancel that. Okay, you know what? No, it's not. Don't try that at home. I'm
Honestly,
saying it for
that's
your
not
own
gonna
good.
happen. That's not
I'm
gonna
saying it
happen.
for your own good. Don't do it.
He's teasing
it's a
me.
Hero. It's
It
a
is,
hero,
it
guys.
is.
It's the Victor Rise connoisseur. The Rise has been banned away. He results in the Victor. I mean, this is bread and butter Vanir right here. I'm seeing the Victor in the mid lane, Noodle on his Xin Zhao, Kevo on the Jinx, Nile on the Gangplank. I think they have taken legitimately S-tier picks for every single one of their members. Something that's really surprising is that not only do they have disengaged, but this time they do have engaged. The only thing that worries me from the sort of Dusty though is that they rely a lot on FGG roaming, and I'm not sure how alone you can leave the Caitlyn in lane, especially when you're playing the duo to play the duo.
Doesn't bind to the identity of the team.
Yeah.
Before we jump into this game, you keep raising and raising and raising, and I'm raising you right now. The idea that Dusty always finished the game at the mid game, and Vanir on the other side have issues in the mid game. But the late game, it is Vanir's territory. What do you think is going to happen with this championship?
Well, I think that you're not going to get to that late game if you let this Caitlyn Lux go completely uncontested. So for me, again, it comes down to Noodle. It always comes down to Noodle. He's on that Xin Zhao. He needs to get stuff rolling early and stop these lanes from just bullying out.
Also, we saw the coach always say that Dusty's bot lane is their strong point,
And they're playing towards them with
and,
this
and they're
draft.
playing a duo that can very easily get punished. And once Caitlyn gets punished, it's very hard for her to get back into the game. So I think if Vanir do manage to shut
Let's see
that
if they
bot
can
lane
trip it
down,
up.
yeah.
It's time to start this one. I don't know if you're ready back at home, but we surely are in the studio. We need to see Dusty versus Vanir. So to toss it into Summoner's Rift, we have Hiprain and Jamada.
Thank you very much, Arkarom. Hello and welcome to the caster desk. A little bit sad over here. I was really hoping for a LeBlanc pick, just purely out of favoritism. There was no genuine reason for that.
He's just being a baby.
I'm being a baby. I'm being a big old baby. So, Jamada, while I was too busy crying about that, I wasn't paying attention. So you can talk to me about the
sure.
drafts.
Well,
and what are your general thoughts on this?
I entirely agree with Georgia. I think Vanir have acquired what I would like to call Exodia, top to bottom. I think you've got the Gangplank cross map to try and, shut down the Caitlyn Lux once you have that level 6. You've also, of course, got the Xin Zhao, you've got Leona, you've got the setup there to do it. And also, like Nymera said, I really want to see Noodle do something like red straight into bot. It's something you see all the time to try and shut down these Caitlyn Lux lanes, simply because all you really have to do is break up the tempo, that slow stack wave into the sort of like third wave crash. As long as you can deny that, then that lane can typically survive out a lot more.
Alrighty, well, we are into game. Dusty versus Vanir. It's best of 5. Who I've been promised is going to deliver. And already, Nilly finds himself in a dangerous position. Just about avoiding out on that light binding from FGG. That was the squeakiest of bum moments there.
Pixels. I think Nilly would have walked back into vision and seen the binding flying past him.
That was mere pixels. Oh. Dusty are going to make their way back into their jungle. Bot lane's going to reset, make their way up. Didn't really lose anything for that other than, a little bit of pride, let's just say.
Yeah.
Remember, keep your eye on the momentum meter at the top of the screens. Our analysts who were sitting in the green room backstage will be letting you know as they press their buttons and move that bar either way, depending on the push, the ebb and flow of the momentum of the game.
Yes, exactly.
As Dusty have apparently already lost momentum because they gave the Jinx over.
Maybe, I mean, I'll be honest. I think Vanir's composition really plays into the strength of the team in general, right? We speak about Vanir as being one of our better sort of team fighting teams, rather. Look at their champions top to bottom. I think they might have probably in meta right now the best team fighters per role.
Yeah.
As, by the way, Noodle's flashed over the pyramid. What?
Oh, he's gone for the Chad play! Viking, you aren't ready! Noodle's got the red buff. He can run him down. The ghost has been popped. And the free talent strike does not go off. Viking just about limps out from that one, but that is so much jungle pressure afforded, and Noodle might just hunt for him again. He hasn't got Ghost this time. The free talent strike. Viking is going airborne, but he's not gonna go down. Noodle. That is so unfair.
Oh, but it's just also, it's so greedy from Viking to go back in there as well. You kind of probably have an idea that Noodle's going to be waiting there for you again. And now the issue is, you've got to go back to base as Viking. If Noodle wants to play this super aggressive, look at the mid lane wave, because right now Noodle could cross straight over to his red side jungle and go and do the same thing. The only thing that might stop that is the fact that Avenger and FGG have complete priority on the bottom lane.
Yes.
This is what Noodles traded this potential level 2 bottom lane gank for. He went and interrupted the farming pattern of the Hecarim. I can get behind this. The issue is, look at the punishment already that Kevo and Quicksef are taking on the bottom side. Venza, FGG, they're going to have complete freedom for a little while now as they crash in this third wave as predicted, and they're probably going to go and get some vision elsewhere on their side of the map just to secure something.
That was a little scary. Backlung will spot out Noodle. Just trying to catch this wave. There was obviously the level 3, so that full combo could have hit Noodle, but both junglers are now going to be on the bottom side of the map. Noodle feeling pretty confident with himself. May just look to see if he can go for some kind of contest on the crab, and with Zahira roaming over, with Quicksef roaming over, Vanir going to just get away with murder here. This is...
Yeah. Now, the thing for this invade is that Viking, he's going to be level 2 for a little while because the camps that he's taking aren't the Gromp or the Krugs. So you can see he's got 12 CS. That means he's taken 3 camps. He's still level 2, so he's going to have to go and do his Krugs. Noodle's going to know this. He's going to have time to farm that side of the jungle, the bottom side of the jungle himself. And then he will probably even be able to get the top side skull. If he wants to, he can just go for a full clear at this point. He's done his job. And that's about it. Venza and FGG. It's the freedom, again, it's about the opportunity cost of this is allowing FGG and Vents to play the lane out and get a lot of poke in.
They're taking a lot of poke. Caitlyn lanes, they are just the worst. I mean, they're not the worst in the sense of, like, yeah, they're the worst to play against.
Yes. They are not enjoyable. This is why I don't play bot lane. Things like lanes like this.
I think this is why AD carries are so angry all the time.
If I had to.
Because they have to put up with stuff like this.
Exactly. But for now, Noodle's aggression has been tempered. He doesn't really have too much else to do outside of what he did. Yeah. Do we dub it the Noodle play at this point? It's the second time he's done it. Flash over the Baron Pit wall.
I can't remember who did it on Olaf years ago. There was somebody who did it on Olaf. It was such a play.
Yeah, and look at the damage this tower's already taking, by the way. Already down a plate and a half.
That's what you want on the Caitlyn then, though.
Yeah.
You want to be able to get that shove, you want to get those plates, because Caitlyn does kind of hit that power trough, but they actually jumped on onto Venza here. Kevo actually dodges out on the binding, the traps go down, and Venza is continuing to get chased by Quicksef. It looks like Quicksef and Kevo were on the wrong page there. The Ignite goes down, FGG gets himself first blood, the zap goes wide from Kevo, and now he has to be careful for the binding. Slows down, flash back, flash from Venza. A little bit of one there, but they are going to be able to get out. There was just a moment where Kevo walked back while Quicksef went further forward, and that cost them first blood and Quicksef's life.
Yeah, exactly. Kevo and Quicksef, they're just not on the same page there. Something definitely went wrong in the communication. And on top of that, unfortunately, the chompers from Kevo came out a little bit late. You'll see, I mean, maybe it's just a range thing. I'm not too sure how far back he was when the engage came in. And I mean, honestly, the Zenith blade kind of snaps onto Venza, to be honest with you. Venza uses the 90 caliber net to actually get over the chompers. And unfortunately, that means the CC's not there. Quicksef, flash word from FGG is to finish it. Doesn't actually need it. The Ignite ticks down, so it's a bit of a wasted flash. And speaking of wasted flashes, unfortunately, Venza not able to get in range after the fact.
That was a bit of an odd flash from a Venza.
I think maybe thinking the Singularity was still going to have him slowed.
Yeah.
In range for an aura
I think the I think he's zapped over trapped, and that's what cost them. But Backlund, level 6 though, does have that Spirit Rush, should be okay. The Foxfire movement speed as well means that Backlund should be a-okay to get away from this one. But Noodle now pairing up with Quicksef and seeing what they can do, setting some vision down towards this dragon. They're going to pick themselves up first dragon in response. Venza and FGG were fresh on a base after that kill. So this is kind of just giving a little bit of space, a little bit of speed over to the side of Vanir, where they're going to be able to pick up this first dragon for themselves. And maybe let's try and stack these up nice and early. We're talking about Dusty as a team that when they're ahead, they win 91% of their games. But we were a bit concerned that maybe Vanir were going to be able to contest them, as Viking going to get locked down momentarily as the cannon barrage came out. And again, Vanir just don't seem to have clear communication. They throw everything down, and
Kevo now.
Noodle's walking away. Kevo, though, may just lose his life, dodges out on the...
Built of a peacemaker.
That's the one. Yep. And he's fine.
He's okay.
He's fine. He's happy. He's
yeah.
not happy.
Kevo's not happy with this lane so far.
He is not a happy camper.
But I will say, on the bot lane note, Vengeance and FGG, we spoke about, well, the desk spoke about how FGG obviously likes to roam a lot. We're not seeing that from this game, obviously, because Caitlyn Lux, you want to stay in that duo.
Yes.
And it's definitely a little bit of a different tune to what we typically see. We have seen them on the Lux Caitlyn lane before. We're fairly efficient at it, but this is a different level. And this is why Nightmare on the desk called out for a level 2 from Noodle to come down here and break the tempo, because these are the kind of things you see from the bottom lane, where 3 plates drop at 7.5 minutes. And this is what you want from Caitlyn lanes. It's something I had to work extensively with, as I had a Caitlyn one trick on my team at one point. The whole idea of Caitlyn lanes, you want to take as many plates off the map as possible, and right now they are setting pace. Because realistically, they could go for a reset anytime they want, and they could go get priority up towards this Rift Herald, Dusty, and it could turn into far more as just anything that hits just feels horrible for Vanir right now.
That was rotten.
Yeah, they need to do something to bail this lane out.
Yes, they do. But the big problem is because of that kind of messy play down by the river, Nilly's ultimate's on cooldown. GP's ultimate at level 1 is actually very, very long.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty long until they get up. It's about 1/3 of the way until it's fully back up, but in that time, that should just be first Terror Blooders. Noodle finds Viking. I don't know who really found who. Noodle has got the backup as a hero, but Backline's actually in the river first, and Noodle is just going to walk away for the moment. It's got Nilly just looking at that Gnar, but I think Elif is actually timed out a Gnar recently, so they don't have that to work with, and that might just be enough for Dusty to go, we don't want this.
Yeah, I mean, if they buy enough time, look at the bot lane wave, Venzer and FGG could eventually make their way up here, but I think a fight's going to happen before we get that.
Oh, I think we are. They're going to jump in, everything thrown onto Noodle. He's going to put the ultimate down, but loses his life. Elif going low, but Nilly can't do anything. Sahira was not there.
Nope.
And Backline made the difference for Dusty.
Yeah, it's just numbers advantage. And by the way, Kevo is dead.
Well, so's the tower. Quicksef, you might need to get out of there, mate.
Oh, this is going to feel so bad in mid lane, actually. Sahira's in trouble.
Yeah, Sahira's overextending. Vanir is looking a little scattered in this game. Puts down the Chaos Storm and the Gravity Field. Dodges out on the Charm. He's going low. Can he get the Q shield off? No, he can't. The flash comes out from Backline and Viking secures the kill. Vanir starting to fall apart a little bit in this first game.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Communication, at least from, top down, right? Looking at this game from the outside in. Seems like that's what the issue seems to be for Vanir. They're just not on the same page across the board, and this bottom lane as well is just going the complete opposite way of how you would ever want to kill.
Oh, that's sad.
It's max range, just 100 to 0. There's...
He final sparked him out, mate.
Yeah. That is such an English call.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, props to Sahira for making this one relatively close. I mean, he still had Flash and Cleanse, but just recognizing no need to burn either. Probably just dies. No matter how he plays it from this point on. And Dusty, they're taking 5 plates on the bottom lane, 1 plate from the mid lane. They have Herald and a full tower to take on the top side. And Kevo and Quicksef are matching FGG and Venza, and we've seen how that's gone for the first 10 minutes of the game. So
yeah, it's a Caitlyn though, and it is a Jinx. And one thing I've been seeing a lot of people complain about is how strong Jinx is in the meta. However, Caitlyn has got a Gale Force.
Yeah.
Jinx has a Noon Quiver and a Cull.
yeah.
So it might be a little bit of a while until we see that kind of late game Jinx, team fighting monster. And to be honest, Dusty have also equipped himself with some lovely tools to be able to deal with the Jinx. You can get the Ari on the back as a Noodle. Gonna eat a whole combo.
Oh my God.
Whoa, that's the support.
Yeah, I mean, so FGG has Sword Pen Boots. I did see Noodle had about 38 magic resist, but still, that is a level 7 support Lux, almost 100 to 0ing a full HP target. Full combo, I guess it makes sense, but still, it's just...
When that Ludens comes in,
yeah, it's gonna...
oh, baby. Noodle is not gonna be surviving that anymore.
No, he is not, but full HP because he's a jungler. Went back to a jungle camp and heal back up. Vanir, they want this.
They need to try and find the bailout. The traps go down this time, but the binding does hit. Viking charges in. Kevo flashes out, and Viking will slay his target. Quicksef, underneath the tower he goes. They go for the flashes for the ace in the hole, blocked out by Noodle. Only finding the one. FGG, no! Almost gets him.
Oh, Backline's
on.
on.
Backline's looking to hunt him down. He's got himself the Spirit Rush. The chance flash by Noodle. Gets the ultimate to bottom.
Oh, he's trying so hard.
Noodle, no! He will lose his life. Dusty, they don't limp out. They
the rocket.
strut out. And as the rocket goes shooting past. Dusty, absolutely flawless dive from them.
Yeah, nobody manages to die. It's just blinking health bars across the board. Vanir, they have to be feeling sore about that one. At least Noodle has to be played that one out so well to at least try and trade something back. It just doesn't go in Vanir's favor. And it's just the binding from FGG that clips Kevo. I mean, it might just hit him dead plan in the face. Yeah, there you go, Viking as well. Easy follow-up. Nothing much to ask from the Dusty jungler, and Quicksef, unfortunately, just not tanky enough to deal with all of that damage that follows through. Noodle, hero play, but it's all about the flash. The singularity is just a smidgen short. And Noodle, I mean, yeah, there's not much more you can really do in this instance. Flash the charm, knock back on the devastating charge.
It's so close.
Tries to get onto Kevo. It's just, yeah, there's nothing more you can really ask.
If that was any other AD carry at this point in the game who wasn't that strong,
Wasn't that fed. He
Yeah.
might have had a good chance.
he might have actually got him there. But I just think there was too much damage coming out from Venza, and ultimately that did cost Noodle with his life. And look at the time. We are closing in on that 15-minute mark. And remember the stats everyone's been throwing around. Dusty win 91% of their games when they're ahead at 15 minutes. So we need to keep our eye on that, because that stat could grow here. As Rifttail's going to get summoned, more plates are going to fall, Quicksef's going to solar flare, and Venza just going to jump out with the ace with the 90 count net.
Yeah, simple as that. And now Dusty, they can retreat back to the Dragon if they want. They've got priority in the long bottom lane. They have full priority in the mid lane too. Wherever Venza and FGG go, it's just going to be a lane that Dusty are going to be able to feed off of so easily. And Vanir, I'm not sure what they can really do from this point in the game. You're just going to have to slow bleed as best you can. But the issue is, Dusty, they have so many strong tools to just hard force.
Yeah.
So much strong poke and priority across the board.
I just want to... This playoffs has been blessed with Infernal Souls.
It really has.
It's I don't know the exact number, but I think we got
You had at least three on Monday.
Yes, on Monday, sorry.
Yeah.
And this is our fourth one then.
Yeah.
Of playoffs at the least.
And wasn't the other one a Hex Tech?
Yes, we've been like...
Oh, Noodle, this is a flank and a half.
Hey, he's going to instantly get feared up, locked down, bot back, and in goes Venza to secure the kill. Quicksef jumps into multiple members. He lifts about to gnaw out. The rocket comes down. Backline jumps forward. Double kill picked up for Venza. And that is a third for the side of Dusty. They just slap Vanir about, take the tower, take the plates, and take everything. That gold lead is 7,000 right now for Dusty. We're just about that 15-minute mark. I hate to say it, but I think that number might be going up a little bit more from 91%.
I don't want to curse it either, but bar the dragon that Vanir were able to pick up earlier on, we might be looking at a near perfect game, given how things are going for Vanir right now. And you have to admire the attempt from Noodle and Quicksef to try and find this flank, but it's just not going to work. Quite frankly, you always knew Viking was going to be in the area to respond quite quickly, and the Gangplank ultimate can always be called down instantaneously. As gold is flashing on our screens. I'm not sure if we're allowed to show the bottom lane difference in gold at the moment. Yeah, as in full bot lane, they are twice the gold.
Yeah, at 15 minutes.
Yeah.
At 15 minutes, they have twice their gold. Venza is a monster right now. Vanir probably scratching their head thinking out, how can we get back into this game? They do have scaling options though. You've got the Gangplank, you've got the Jinx. You have great team fighting and engage tools from that Leona as well, so it's not completely rough, but it's, well, I mean, it's not completely doomed, but it is going to be very rough as Viking has been spotted out, but he's just so tanky right now. He's able to deal with these members. The Solar Flare will lock him in place, but Quicksef is going to get hunted down, and Backline can just chase forward with the ultimate, with the kills, the Orb of Deception. One last dash will be all he needs. He gets it with a Foxfire. Elif actually tanking the tower for him. And Dusty just get their 11th kill. 11-0 right now, Jamada.
It's feeling quite rough for Vanir. I think it's definitely already looking back to the drawing board. Where did we go wrong? What do you want to do for game 2? And I think for me, the early game plan from Noodle, I definitely get it, and I think it makes sense, but you just have to stop the Caitlyn Lux lane from doing what it just did in this early game. It was entirely isolated. Venza and FGG just won out. And you can definitely make the arguments, okay, we have Hecarim in the game, slow down his farming pattern. I think it makes sense if it's a different bot lane, but
yeah,
it has such a high efficiency rate, it feels like. Anytime I see a Caitlyn Lux lane have that tempo interrupted, right, where they try and stack up the first 3 waves, they crash on the 3rd wave, and then they go and get vision elsewhere, or they can just sit there and hit the plates. It just feels like it's so hard to come back from that position in certain lanes like this if you're not going to actually make a reappearance down there. And yeah, I think that's maybe where Vanir went the most wrong, because from there it just felt like Dusty have had their number on every single play they've gone for.
Dusty have just seemed to be a step ahead every opportunity. As we take a look at the items, Triforce finished up onto Elif, going back for a reset after taking that tower. Not going for a reset after taking that tower. Might actually look for a kill onto Zahira here.
Well, the issue is, look at the minimap. Look who's in the wings.
Oh, there's a whole squad.
Went for this play, and they actually still think he's there.
Yeah, they know he's there. He's going to jump out over Noodle. Quickstep looks to get him with the Zenith Blade. Solar Flare connects. Can he get the Narbar stacked up in time? He's going low. The ultimate connects, and he is toasted. Able to find themselves the kill as the turret is also picked up by Nilly. Vanir actually finding a brief window to get themselves some gold. Remember, these towers are worth shutdown as well to them, so there's a lot of gold they can pick up here.
Yeah, and Dusty, they're not really responding to what's happening on the map right here. They lost the tower on the bottom side. They have a play going on up on the top side, whilst they also lose the tower on the back end. They don't really grab anything else unless there's something kind of missing. I mean, sure, they have all the setup in the river, topside river, but the next objective is the dragon in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, with all the priority they have, and now they've shifted over to this side of the jungle, they were always likely going to get anyway. But now it just becomes a massive black hole for Vanir to walk into. Oh, Noodle. Don't do it.
Oh, Noodle! He gets sparked. Venza takes the kill, his 5th one of the game, and Dragon spawns 12 seconds. They don't have a jungle. Vanir, don't think there's going to be much they're able to do, but they're actually going to get engaged on. Like you said, the fear lands onto 2 members. The hero jumps away. The binding goes wide. Oh my god, that's a Lux support. Quickstep, ace in the hole, blocked out by Nilly. They got the barrels to try and get a bit of zoning, but Backline's going to flash over the Orb of Deception and pick up that one. Just like that, Dusty just blow a hole in Vanir's defenses, and they're going to look to try and take this tower, but Venza takes a barrel and a crit at that. So they're going to have to call it off for the moment.
Call it off for the moment, take away some of the jungle camps from the top side. Dragon, it's a foregone conclusion. Either way you put it, though.
Oh, Noodle's alive, so if he wants to give his life for it, which I think is not a good idea, but he could do.
He could. There's a lot of pings coming out from the Vanir side, so that...
To be fair, actually, a lot of...
Again!
This is just bullying. This is just bullying. Noodle not being his game. The rocket comes in, the cannon barrage goes down, throwing out the Chaos Storm from Zahira. They're looking for the kill onto Viking. Viking's going to jump away, and Backline comes in with the charm and the follow-up for the kill. Viking secures a rampage. Elif's about to gnaw out. Kevo Gale forces away, but he is run down as another kill's picked up. Here comes Elif. Viking on the flank as well. Quickstep's not back into 2. Elif just needs to find the gnaw. Solar Flare goes wide. The charm connects, and a double kill for Elif. Dusty are making a mockery of Vanir in this game 1.
This is as close to a whitewash as it could be for Dusty. And I don't think many people were expecting an outcome like this for game 1. Everyone, you saw the predictions, everyone was expecting a very close series. And of course, this just could be an anomaly game, but my goodness, the amount of burst that comes out of that combo. It's absolutely absurd. Cannon Barrage comes in, it does make things awkward on the back line. You can see Venza and FGG, they have to back up a lot, but Barklon comes back in with teleports, so Hero gets caught out because he's being jumped on by Viking. And Kevo just can't stand up to Elif. See how much damage is coming out. And the chase down is as easy as you like. Viking made his way through the mid lane to try and knock both Quickstep and Nile into the same hole here. The Nod does go wide, but doesn't quite matter. They were always going to pick up the Pirate. Elif finds himself a double kill. And now we do have the Herald being dropped in the mid lane. And Dusty, they could go a fair ways of this if they really wanted to, but I think this is more about knocking down the tower to try and get the vision line even higher up into Vanir's jungle on both sides.
20 minutes on the clock. Gold lead, 10,000 gold. Over to the side of Dusty. They're going to take this tower using that Rift Herald. Mid lane tier 2 crumbles. And now for Dusty, it really feels like they kind of got picker of the litter. Able to strip away as much jungle as possible from Noodle. On a bit of revenge for that attempted cheesy play. I don't want to call it cheesy play, that calculated flash.
It's Noodle's, but it's the second time he's done it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it was successful in the moment.
But now he's 0-5.
But now he's 0-5. Yeah, to be fair, it's not entirely, it's not even really Noodle's. I
don't think it's Noodle's fault at all.
Dusty have just played really well, specifically obviously FGG and Venza.
I don't think it's anybody's fault on the side of Vanir. I think, you know, they're playing into a tough draft, and Dusty recognized their strengths and have punished them for those strengths. They had winning lanes all over the board, and they've just been comfortable to run away with this game, and they're executing on it well. Vanir, also a team who we kind of talked a little bit about this, but they typically have a weaker mid game.
Yes.
Going into a mid game while already being behind, while being, let's say, lackluster at your mid game, means that this gold lead has been way easier for Dusty to punish. And Dusty, kind of the kings of snowballing in the league. This is a team who, when they get ahead, they get ahead. And oh, Kevo, that was half your health. He does obviously have a bit of sustain, so he's okay, but
it just
already
feels
just
bad.
highlighting the free item Caitlyn over the one item Jinx.
Yeah, and Venza, just from his build path, you can tell what he's going for. He's going for poke, Storm Razor, Rapid Fire Cannon.
I mean, one of our analysts might be doing some backflips with Joy, actually, if you look at Backline's build. He's got the Magi second.
I mean,
Mira
still-
was very vocal about that earlier today to
Still
me.
probably relatively upset about the Everfrost.
Yes. Look, Namira, take what you can get.
Take what you get. That is the case, as this is a Baron start, which I don't think is going to necessarily be contested. Though Noodle's here.
You don't have the cannon barrage, so you actually do
Yeah.
have pretty good tools to handle this Baron. And I think Dusty recognizing that, just go,
Okay.
let's go for the pick instead. Backline jumps over the wall. The final spark lays them down. 2 members full. Dusty, what a pick. Back to Baron, back to business.
Back to business indeed. They'll clean this Baron up with ease. Noodle's no longer on the map, and there is no true risk of a 50-50, but maybe Nilly has the upgraded cannon barrage. Is that what we're hoping for here? Still with the cannon barrage, we'll see.
I mean, Death's Daughter or Violet Will's
300.
going to do a lot of damage here.
Yeah.
Nilly, are you going to make a hero play happen? In goes the barrel. Backline gets jumped out. Venza is godlike on his own, but it doesn't matter. The cannon barrage coming down as Elif is going to jump in. Quickstep is going to get cooked. Venza secures the double kill. Nilly can limp his way out as Viking finishes up the Baron. 21 kills, 23 minutes in, Baron in hand, a gigantic gold lead. This is Dusty's game to win.
This is a statement game from Dusty. This isn't just a game for them to win. This is Dusty saying, we don't really care about Vanir's team fighting in the later game stages of how they like to play. With
On
this
late
kind of
game
draft.
team fight if you don't get late game.
Exactly. Right, and I mean, it's what Vanir's comp is drafted to do. You've got the Victor, you've got the Jinx. I said it when we came into the game. Oh boy.
Oh no, Victor
Oh,
from
he's-
Arcane, not like
Oh,
this.
no.
He's bopped back, he's bopped down, and he's aced in the hole. Sahira falls, Dusty find a kill.
From help with Caitlyn, no less.
I'm helping.
I'm helped. As yeah, I mean, it did feel like Vanir had the components to obviously take it to Dusty in the later stages of the game. And as highlighted, a lot would be on Noodle's shoulders to get things going, or just, you know, keep the Vanir draft afloat. But man, when Dusty come out and put out a performance like this, it's really hard to do much.
Did you remember what they were saying in the interview of Archron at the beginning of the day in the pre-show? Dusty are a confidence team.
Yeah,
And when they're confident they can win,
Exactly.
they will play to win. And this is a very confident team. They have come in, no nerves, complete confidence in their abilities, and they are showing up in game number 1. The final spark's gonna
Sahira, back to Fountain, back to Fountain.
I love
Back to
support.
Fountain, brother.
There goes the inhibitor. That's going to fall down. They've got Backline working this Baron wave up as well here. Freezing out a cheeky charm, looking for Noodle. And oh, they don't have the final spark, so they're going to be okay. But these towers, not long for the world, unfortunately.
No, they are not. I mean, Vanir, it's hard to... It's 14,000 gold. If you want something to happen, you just kind of have to go, because Dusty, they have the keys to end this game if they really want to. They're going to play it safe, bless them.
They got loads of golden Baron recalls.
Yeah,
Use that, get back to base. Dragons up, take that.
yeah.
Even more gold given over. Venza's got the stopwatch, so that 1,000 gold on Venza is just that much harder to get. One good team fight. I'm going to say it. If they did get one good team fight, that's a lot of money. But I just don't know how you find that good team fight when you're this far behind. Zero, to be fair to them, is doing a fair amount of damage. But again, it's just how? How do you find that window? You got a cleanse coming up on the Caitlyn soon, so you can't really find that like miracle solar flare, crowd control chain. I just don't see the way in.
Divine Intervention.
Divine intervention. Well,
There's no KO in the game, unfortunately.
Noodle says, I'm God here. No, he doesn't. Solar Flare comes down, Venza
Venza,
Gale
though.
forces forward, finds himself caught for the moment. The cannon barrage is on, but Backline's jumping forward. The laser from downtown. Vanir are absolutely clapped. Get out of your tower. A triple kill for Backline, sliding forward. And the last one is done. 5 members of Vanir fall, and Dusty will take game 1.
Dusty, they say, to hell with predictions about a close series. We're going to open this one up with an absolute slaughter for game one. Vanir, not even a leg to stand on start to finish. Dusty, they're going to close this one out. We spoke about how we want to see FGG, Venza roam together up towards the mid lane. They said, to hell with that. We're going to play the Isolator 2v2. And Noodle, the early game plan, you understood it. They're trying, no, again!
Welcome to the Abattoir, Vanir. Game number 1 going to Dusty. Woo, what a game. That's a terrifying team to go up against now.
And I'll tell you, from experience of playing in best ofs, that's a horrible game to walk back into, or a horrible series to walk back into.
But that's a great win for Dusty. That is going to be a massive confidence boost for them going into game number 2. Vanir, though, I think if you're the coach right now, just go forget that game.
Yeah, you have to.
We're playing best of 3 at this point.
It's a weighted best of.
Yeah. Yes, a weighted best of. No one likes those. But, you know, I guess at least it's game number 1.
Yes.
So you still have, you know, there's 4 more games potentially to go. Let's not let that game get into our head. Strong mental going into game number 2. Anyway, we're going to throw ourselves to a break, and then our analysts are going to do their best to break that game down. So don't go anywhere. See you in a moment.
Welcome back to the desk. After this one-sided game, we gotta tell things as they are.
Can I tell things as they are?
Okay, go ahead. That's the skin that made the difference. I got to level with you all, okay? I knew Caitlyn was going to be
No, that's how
fixed.
Vanir got run over in that game.
Level with us. Tell us about the Caitlyn.
Okay, I knew Caitlyn was going to be picked, not because I was theory crafting, no, because I was told she was going to be picked.
All right.
A coach told me how good he knows the bot lane plays Caitlyn, and how ahead he can be with this Caitlyn.
And the thing for me is the key thing isn't just the it's the Caitlyn plus a load of support bans after that. I mean, the Leona came in, what, R4? You didn't have something that could fight early, like the Leona, like the Nautilus. Leona kind of can, but we saw that first all-in fail for the Vanir's bot lane, and then things just went straight out of hand, flew right off the handle. Look, I know that the momentum meter was going all over the place. There were points where I was like slamming the 5 and hoping it would work. But we'll get them working for next game because, oh my gosh, if you are going to put like momentum to the max, this is the game where it's going to happen.
I just think that Vanir flopped. Vanir flopped every single lane. I think their moving gear, which is Noodle, kind of fell flat in this game. I think we need to say things as they are because that wasn't just a regular that wasn't just a regular loss that Vanir got served. That was an absolute smack in the face by Dusty. Honestly, they all played really well. That particular bot lane, the Caitlyn versus the Caitlyn plus Lux versus something for Dusty, it hadn't worked at the very beginning of the split, and especially suffered versus Gangplank, and Viking was not very happy with the Gangplank. Here, they knew that they had left it open. They knew that it could be picked on third spot, but they smashed bot lane so hard. They got Hecarim so far ahead that the Gangplank did not matter anymore. And honestly, I'm also a little bit disappointed in the performance of the solo lanes as well. But taking in consideration how Noodle, we're expecting him to flash plus the Baron Pit every single time at this point because he's done it a few too many times in the regular split as well. And going 0-5, 10 minutes into the game, whilst being the most important, integral part in your team, of course it's going to slow down things for Vanir.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo the thing about the solo lanes, because for me, I feel like jungle and bot lane lost as kind of like a tied set of circumstances, because Yen Zhao said, look, I'm not going to go for the early bot gank. I'm going to try and shut down the Hecarim instead. Now, that didn't quite work out. There were some points where you're thinking, wow, blown that ghost, forced them out of that jungle, taken some of their jungle camps. But you've given up the opportunity to affect that bot lane. And then because the bot lane doesn't have the ability to help the Jin Zhao keep up the pressure with the Hecarim on their own, both of them tied together kind of fall apart their own matchups. For me, though, it was the solo lanes who in isolation didn't manage their wave states very well, didn't have the support from the roaming support of someone like Quixoth, really, to help them bail themselves out. It started with the jungle and the bot lane, but the solo lanes, they were kind of independent of that and also didn't step up in game one.
I just really like the point that you made about Noodle trying to shut down Viking, whilst Viking did not necessarily had to assist the Lux Caitlyn bot lane. That bot lane was made to beat whatever Vanir had in the bot lane. So it was actually Vanir's bot side of the map needing Noodle to be there to shut down that bot lane. And that unfortunately never happened. And when it happened, it was a little bit too late. And honestly, I'm glad we get to see actual power from a Lux Caitlyn bot lane, a Caitlyn plus any support that is actually a bully from range, because now it shows how strong you can use these two champions, take them all over the map, exactly like Dusty did, took bot lane, took top lane, took mid lane, controlled every single neutral objective with the power of these two picks as well. I think they played this flawlessly.
The question now is this a mirror for the entire series, or are we going to see adaptation from Vanir? I had the opportunity to talk with the coach, and he told me that he's really good at adapting in the best of 5. He said that on the interview itself, so he has to prove it now, like Riddle proved it this morning. They are a good team. So it's on you, Vanir. The plate is on your side. Fill it in and show us on the second game. And we'll show you the second game right after this break. I'll see you soon.
Can I change predictions?
Second champion select of the lane. Let's go. Let's see what happens with Vanir. They need to adapt. I'm really hyped.
Did you like us like beating down Vanir like Dusty did in game 1 during the break? Did you
Why?
enjoy that? We've got to have fun somehow.
We need to
right?
call the cops. This is illegal.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing that's not going to be happening. Viking is not going to be getting no Hecarim's in his hands. I'm pretty sure about that.
You think that is the
His
deal?
Rek'Sai and his Hecarim are extremely dangerous, and even though Rek'Sai is not as playable right now, it's a very niche champion, and he can figure out ways to implement it in the team. I think Hecarim fits a bunch of compositions, so either Vanir is gonna first pick that for Noodle and try to get him to be a little bit more impactful, or they're just not gonna give it to Viking and ban it out straight out bat.
I love best of fives. I love best of fives. Where else? You wouldn't see a Caitlyn ban in a best of 1. You wouldn't see that. Now, this is showing the adaptation. There is something to be said about, let's just ban what was powerful in that last game. We were kind of talking about blue
You know who
side
said
being
that as
really...
well? Excel by game
Crazy.
4, and they banned 3 MC champions. Unreal, I'm just saying.
But now, because we knew that blue side was going to be very important to ban away some priority champions and then pick one of the power champions, Dusty said, look, as much as we were the ones with the Hecarim, we're still showing that respect to Noodle, and I think that's very worthwhile. And we're saying, let's not give them the Hecarim, let's not give them the power pick. We saw what we could do with that first pick, but now we're going to see potentially the handshake between AD carries, but either Zeri or Aphelios is going to be left up.
But if there's Zeri and Aphelios, Kevo loves his champions. We mentioned that he is an Ezreal, Lucian, Zeri player. He loves these high mobility champs. They're going to leave him with the Aphelios unless he wants to go towards something like the Lucian arm in the bot lane, like the Ezreal that he likes to play, and possibly we could see what you missed last game, which is Quickset roaming the map.
But we've seen the Zeri band away, so Aphelios is the last of like the S tier AD carries that are still on the table.
Unless you're
Question
called
is,
Zamulek.
Unless you're Zamulek and you really want it, you really like Varus. Varus is just your thing. But now you're probably going to see something like that Shinzao locked in, unless Viking wants to go. I mean, obviously J4 was another big pick for these junglers who love to impact the early game as well. But Xin Zhao's on the table, it's a good takeaway. Potentially, you can go towards something like the Rel as well, though, because FGD got that band away from them. And the thing about someone like a fellow is that he wants to be fighting you and like rooting you down with the Gravitum. Rel stops you in your tracks.
I would just love to see a Volibear, honestly, from Viking. Volibear together with Rel is going to be extremely annoying to play if you are the Aphelios. Also, remember a lot of the globals we've seen, right? The Gangplank, the Shen that we saw coming out of Keks, things that can really impact the map from the other side of the map.
So do you pick support now, and do you go for an Alistar? Even
well, one of the problems with that last champ select, as we were saying, it was obviously the Caitlyn Lux, and then you left the support pick yourself until later. That's an extreme example. Support counter pick is really, really important in a lot of these matchups. The problem is you don't know what the AD carry. I mean, you don't know whether it's going to be a Tristana Rel. It could be something like that. Samira's come back in places like the LCK game. He usually played a game of it amongst other people. But actually saying with that, I actually quite like Alistar here because Alistar versus Rel as a support matchup is actually mainly about just denying the other support rather than actually landing your combo yourself. But Alistar stops stuff like the Samira and the Tristana having really high value because they jump onto you, you knock them up, you punt them away if you really want to at that point. It stops like the best outcome from your bot lane and having true counter pick, but I think this is a fairly safe blind pick and stops you getting banned out as hard.
I would just really like to see Tam Kent here. I think with the way that Vanir has been struggling, making sure that one of your carries is 100% safe through these flanks, because FTG has been finding a lot of flanks. Viking is great at finding flanks, and they both have some really easy champions to jump into the backline. If that gets locked in right here as well, that is a lot of backline access. I feel like a Tam Kent would be absolute king, not only in lane, but later on when it comes to roaming for Quickset, when it comes to keeping safe both his carries at this point.
That way you can deny the Rel a little bit, but you have 3 members that goes into the backline, and Alistar can just
the Akali as well.
You can pulverize all of them, so it kind of fits a little bit, even though it's not meta.
What I will say is that if you have good engage options for Vanir, I mean, you already have the Alistar, right? That very much helps. But if Alistar doesn't have to use the combo offensively, you just sit on top of your Aphelios, Akali jumps to you, smack, you're out of the fight, you're just gone. You get CC'd into death, especially when you have the Gravitum too. It's very dangerous to be diving alone. So now Dusty have this combo of a number of low-range champions that want to be getting in on top of the Alistar. They need to make sure they space out their engage either against the Alistar combo or do it within a time span where they can just pile on a dogpile the target they want to get onto, otherwise the Alistar is going to get insane value here.
Can I be CEO of Based for just a second here?
Well, consider your application. What is? You made it through to the interview stage. What's your plan?
Last season, when Volibear was literally played every single game, Volibear loves to build HP, and his HP numbers are pretty high as well. What is great, and what was played a lot versus Volibear, and hear me out because it's not necessarily the meta of the meta of the meta right now, is set. They dive all into your team, you grab the highest HP target and you slam it back down. Now, obviously, Set is not great in a lot of the matchups and he does suffer, but
I don't think you want to blind pick
But I mean,
him,
exactly, but I mean, you had Gangplank last time and that didn't go well either, so you might as well just take one for the team,
I'm
man.
sold. I'm a Pantheon Set Kled, so I'm sold on this. Treble is 100% right.
I was wondering when this bot lane combo was coming back, for like most of the season after Tristana got her level 1 HP buffs and stuff like that, you hit level 2, level 3, you are so ready to fight, you jump in. It is onto that Alistar. Now, as we were kind of talking about, one of the reasons the Alistar was locked in is because you see the Samira, you see the Tristana, you're like, look, let's just deny them jumping in. If Tristana ever gets to complete her jump with the satchel and everything, it's a lot of damage. It's a hell of a lot of damage, which kind of helps you deny that on one front. Vanir do have to blind pick their top lane though, and they've chosen that Gwen as a flex. Might go towards the jungle slash, can be the Gnar, which now Dusty have the task of unseating.
This is textbook Vanir. We're peeling backwards, we're moving backwards, we're gonna let you pull the trigger, and a lot of the teams that are sitting on the top of the table, if you ask them what they prefer doing, is like, look, if we are the better team on paper, we would rather scale into the late game and allow our opponents to make mistakes, and then we insta-punish them. I feel like this draft is more bread and butter for Vanir than the previous one. This is we fully peel backwards. The Alistar is going to sit the Aphelios the entire game together with the Rise. The second they dive in, Gnar is going to do his job in the front line. Gwen is going to go snip to whoever dives in. I like this a lot. Does they have the trigger in their hands? If the trigger doesn't go down well, though, Vanir will punish.
I mean, and this time you do at least have a pushing mid lane. Rise very much helps with that. They didn't have any of those pushing lanes early on into that last game. They have more of a platform to play around Vanir in the early game.
But not only that, you picked the Tristana versus an Alistar. You were talking about this. You have two members diving into the back, but with Alistar, you can pulverize one and yeet the other one away. You decide the one that you just push away and focus on the Tristana.
The yeet king.
It is the yeet. You wapachang and take him away. So that is more than a wapachang and take him away. That is a good reply to the bot side. This is Vanir's chance to come back into the series. I know you're confused.
I've heard a lot of cow noises. Never that.
Wapachang?
Wait, you haven't been seeing the right cows, man.
Are they different in Portugal?
In Portugal, we do that all the time. I don't know. With that in mind, it's time to send it to the game. Hiprain and Jamada are waiting. It's going to be a good one. Take it away, boys.
Move out the way. It's time for us to take over this game. There's the cow noise. Hello, welcome to the caster desk. I was curious where I was going to go with that, but here we are.
So was I. I was very curious where you was going to go with that, but you caught it well.
I did.
I'm proud of you.
I didn't drop it. I've never heard a cow go cappuccino or whatever.
I'm not sure. I like the head movement on Archer as well.
He's got some terrific swish with his hair. But we are into game for our second of the series. It was a slaughter to start us out. I can't even underestimate that. I can't overstate how hard Dusty won game one. Vanir, they need to forget that game. We're just playing 4 games of League of Legends now. Let's figure out a game plan, and I think this draft is better suited for them.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, like you say, agree. I'm kind of happy for Vanir that game happened in game 1 as opposed to something like game 3, game 4.
Oh, they're doing it again.
Venza this time, rocket jump over, slow down on Kevo.
Yeah, getting a little bit, but
that's a flash.
That is a flash. Beautiful. Okay, that's really nice for them in lane. Obviously, Alistar, very famously has a pretty awful level 1. Now no flash on their support, but there is an invade on the other side from Vanir, so they will get some information on Viking, on his rotations, to see exactly what's going on with that. And that actually is something we want for Noodle, because Noodle wants to try maybe catch Viking off guard like he did in the last game. This time, it's not so important that he goes bot lane early.
No, it's not. And unlike game 1 as well, Vanir, they didn't really get too much information out of when Dusty went for one of these invades.
Yeah.
I think for Viking, though, starting on the top side, most likely, he's not going to care if he's on vision. Now that Kevo doesn't have flash, I don't think he's going to be too fast. FGG set up with Venza. It's a lot to handle, and there's no cleanse on Kevo. It's exhaust because they want to play for the 2v2. You get hit by anything, you just die. So let's see how Kevo and Quicksilver want to play out the lane, of course. A lot of talk, like you said as well. Level 1, it's just not really there for Alistar. It's all about level 2 onwards. FGG's engages can be denied, but I think for the immediate future, priority should be in Dusty's favor.
FGG now got the remount, so does have that to work with onto Quicksef or Kevo. I feel punishing him may be fairly nice. They have obviously got the exhaust and ignite for Vanir. It's a cleanse on Venza, so you have to kind of keep that a little bit in mind, but they are lacking technically in that kind of combat area. Talk to me about top lane. The Gnar versus the Aatrox. How does this lane go?
Yeah, so this is a matchup I feel like it depends on who you ask. Like, it's one of these lanes where, in theory, Nile should take priority in the early stages because of the range versus melee. But then from there, it's all about sort of Aatrox's sort of spikes in lane where it's like level 5, level 6, 2 big ones, 3 points in Q. Obviously, you get level 6, you get your ultimate, and then trading / all-ins become possible. But again, it's more on Nile, really, how he lanes and how he trades.
Yeah.
More than anything, because he's going to be the one that gets to pick and choose more or less how these fights occur. As unfortunately, Zahira just missed all 3 of those creeps. I don't think he's going to be too happy about that. But this is a lane where, like Nymera highlighted, there should be pretty much consistent priority for Vanir, and more specifically Noodle to actually work off of. I was relatively surprised when Barkton took this Akali, knowing he'll be taking it to Zahira's right, simply because historically it's a matchup that, for lack of a better way of saying it really, it sucks for the Akali. You can always just bounce the spell fluxes into the minion wave. If Akali's shrouded in the middle of it, you can always lock it down with the Rune Prison. It's very difficult as...
Noodle's got that ghost, so can actually catch up fairly
something
quickly. Looking for it. Quicksef's got the flash, the pole. Venza and FGG are aware of him, though. They've also got their jungler coming down, so this might be a little bit of a bait, although Viking's been seen. They're jumping in. Noodle's going to have to go away. There's the flash. Remember, nothing on Kevo. Kevo's flashing out. Venza jumps out with a rocket jump, just about gets away. Viking comes in to save the day. Noodle seeing if he can find more, but not going to be able to do so. Dusty find first blood.
Oh, I understand the thought process here for Vanir, and Sparklin's going to eat a real nasty trade. 2 more autos in it. I think Barkman would have dropped there, but we'll just take the reset and probably have to TP it back into lane. You have to be the ones that respond to Dusty being proactive, because as soon as that combination is down from Quicksef, who the hell stops FGG from doing what he just did to Kevo? The answer is nobody, and that's why we've seen him just die in that 3v3.
They're desperately trying to shove this wave in.
Yeah.
They're actually bringing Zahira down as well. He's spotted out. Viking actually didn't reset. This is a 4-man into the bottom side. Elif has teleport, so can actually get underneath this tower if he needs to. They're charging in. They're jumping on. Quicksef popped up, popped by the bomb. Venza finds the kill. Zahira's taking tower shot after tower shot. And Noodle's on the wrong side of the map, but he might be able to get a little bit more damage. The snip, the haircuts are there. But FGG will run him down as Backland's making his way over. Can he find the punish? Kevo still not got that flash. Does have the exhaust. They get the shuriken flip back, buying some space. The lockdown. In comes Venza. Kevo is going down yet again. No, he's so close. The overload won't do the damage. Dusty are just clapping Vanir underneath their tower.
Oh, and it's Vanir that engaged this dive, Jake. They're the ones that wanted it. And Dusty turned it around. Viking, great presence of mind, looks at the mid lane state and says, okay, Zahira has a window to come down and roam to the bottom side, also aided by the Skullcrab vision. And the dive just doesn't go right. Quicksef takes 1 too many tower shots, gets CC. Zahira eats 2 stacked up tower shots and has to retreat. And Noodle is just unfortunately on the opposite side, does manage to trade in Viking for his life at the very least. And FGG does kind of steal away the kill from Venza. But at the end of the day, still happy with the results of the dive. And Kevo, with the, what is it, a Attract Repel? I think that
yes, it is Attract Repel.
Able to give FGG the stun, and whilst it is very close and nearly traded out, Venza has the health bar to walk into Kevo's face. And now,
look at that base as well. Double Longsword and Berserker's Greaves off that. 2-0-2. Got the very slight farm lead, but it will grow once he gets back to the wave. And now Noodle. It was all about Noodle coming into this game. That was the person who was highlighted to me. 20% damage share for his team. And just having to play very careful because FGG and Viking are just roaming around his jungle.
Yeah.
Is there more action breaking out here?
Potentially, but I think they should be able to just walk away from one another. Though Noodle face checking into FGG. Gonna just hex flash over the wall. And much like game 1, Dusty find themselves with a fairly sizable at 6 minutes lead. Not quite as big as game 1, but still.
Yeah. Still terrifying.
You want to be in. And fortunately, if there's one thing that will work out for the Vanir bot lane, Tristana is a champion that can't really freeze waves too well. Of course, the explosive charge does kill more creeps than you'd maybe like per auto attack. But Viking, he's here for a repeat gang.
Oh, this bot lane are just having the worst series. The Roam Warp's coming in, but Quickstep will go down. Venza grabs himself a cheeseburger and he's out.
He is out indeed. Venza might be able to have an early dinner if the series goes this way.
Dusty are playing like their Uber Eats is on the way.
They've got a takeaway they're waiting for. As Barkland going to be able to take down that control ward. Dusty probably eyeing up this dragon relatively soon. Try and get the objective snowball going as soon as possible. And there you go, Viking. We'll just get someone slide up. Now, Noodle's in the air and does have level 6, but no smite available. About 20 seconds or so left on that cooldown. Could look to interrupt this as Viking. He's taking a lot of damage, but will heal up off smite. But actually, Noodle has the upgraded smite, so if they can buy time here, it's not too terrible.
He's got 6 as well. Viking does it, so the needlework doing a lot of work, slowing them down.
All right.
Vanir going to pick up this first dragon. This is actually 2 games they've secured first dragon in this series. But gold lead is a little bit scary. And where that gold is a little bit scary. Ven's on the Tristana, got himself a 1,100 gold lead over Kevo. Going to go back to base here. I think that was like 1,100 gold he just spent. So
something like
I believe that's
so
probably
Noon Quiver.
Noon Quiver and maybe a little bit else. Oh no, he got pickaxe.
All right, that makes sense too. Highest raw stats I think he could have gotten, considering if you think about like this, he's already got the Halo Blade. He just wants extra AD for the trades.
Oh yeah, I agree.
He jumps in. I think it's a good choice.
Top lane's been a little bit quiet.
Yeah.
Lily probably saying, guys, what's happening down there? The true top lane experience.
It really is the top lane experience, especially as Gangplank players. I think we experience this the most, don't we?
Well, I'm a GP mid. You know that.
Yeah.
I'm a bit different.
You're a bit different. You are. But back on this game, I think obviously the next focus is going to be the Herald. And as we were just highlighting the top lane very briefly, I think the top lane wave states aren't really going to matter. It's going to be about who gets first move from bottom lane. And right now, that's always going to be Venza and FGG. As a 2v2 is looking to brew here.
Yeah, they are looking to jump in onto him. Elif flashes away. Nilly gets the Gnar back onto 2.
Oh, no.
Stormbringer thrown down, but Nilly will pay the ultimate price. Can Noodle make this work? I do not think he can. Top lane experience ended up being the bot lane experience. Everybody collapses in, and 2 people fall.
Oh, it's just not working out. Anything Vanir want to do, Dusty just throw it back in their face immediately. And it's just probably getting to a point where for Vanir, this might just feel frustrating. As it starts off not too bad. Alif able to pop the World Ender and get almost far enough away to get away from the Gnar. But the issue is when Nile goes in for that Gnar, he's sat underneath tower, eats 2 tower shots, too much damage to tank up. Doesn't have the sustain that Alif does when he hits the abilities. And Noodle, unfortunately, just a victim of a play that doesn't quite go their way execution-wise.
No, completely bit them in the bum there. And that's now going to be a Rift Herald. I believe the 3rd one Dusty have picked up in the last 2 games. In the pocket of Viking. We'll see where they decide to put that down. Probably bot lane.
If you had to guess. And
I feel like just get Venza fed.
he's already fed, so get him more fed.
Get him fedder.
Get him fedder.
He's in one of those, like, eat as much as you can in such a short period of time challenges, and you get your money off. Like, eat the big burger in half an hour.
Well, normally those places only operate in the morning, so if he's lucky, he might still be able to get to one in the evening if we continue this way. But yeah, I agree. I think Herald, probably the bot lane. You want to try and break the tower. Venza, FGG, I think at a moment's notice, really, can start to chunk out the tower to a point where they can just execute with the Herald. Or they might just go for a dive.
It's a volley bear. He can turn the tower off.
Yeah.
Ultimate actually came out from Kevo there, but
Not gonna matter.
it's not going to matter at all. Quickstep may look for something. He has got Sahira hovering with the ultimate ready.
So if there is one positive thing, albeit Barkland can always respond to teleport, Sahira should always have first move from the mid lane down to these plays. So it can dissuade Viking from getting a little bit too aggressive with this Rift Herald on the bottom side. The issue is, I'm not sure he cares.
No, I don't think he does at all.
Sahira will just reset in fog, and this could, you know, kind of create a false sense of pressure from Dusty. As you can see, the ward comes over the wall just maybe to cover maybe a rotation. I'm pretty sure somebody from Vanir saw that. And the patrol will come in just to clear that away.
Oh, it doesn't mean Noodle will be unspotted as he weaves his way over, as long as he doesn't go through the river directly. Has got that ghost again available. Viking got a nice little flank off here.
Yeah.
See what he's actually going to do with it, whether or not this is just him scouting or if he's actually looking for a very long gank.
It's a corridor of fog at the end of the day. I mean, he's not been spotted on any vision. Barkland, the exact same, just teleported back to lane. And if something does kick off...
Yeah, they are looking for FGG. FGG actually gets bopped away. And
oh,
remember, they can turn the tower off. They have the volley bear. Viking just can clear out this vision. The tower will stand, though. Sorry, the Rift Herald.
yeah, I mean, this is a lot of time being bought. Nile, Aleph trading here. I mean, Wellbender can get popped. Ooh.
Does get popped, but he finds the knock-up with the Darkened Blade. In comes the Realm Warp. Those Hero flashes, locks him in with the Rune Prison. Sustained from Elif.
Oh.
Almost got that one.
If
the Sahira gets it.
If that second Darkened Blade went off.
That was it.
That was probably a dead mini-nart.
Oh no.
And a reset as here you go, the dive finally happens.
Tower's turned off. Venza's bobbed back and he secures the kill. Quickstep will lock him under the tower, but FGG is the one tanking. Another slow, another reset, and Venza gets a double.
Noodle.
In comes Noodle though. Venza needs to make his way out. I don't know if he can get it though. The Noodle works there. The reposition from Venza as FGG on a killing spree. Teleport by Nilly.
Oh, Nilly, what are you doing here?
He's about to gnaw out though. This could be the hero play. Nilly comes in. Can he get it? Can he find the opportunity? Gets the boulder onto Viking. Viking slowed. In comes the shield. Another boulder is going to connect. Nilly didn't get the Gnar in time. Backline zoning them away. FGG.
Oh, they can turn.
FGG is going to get turned around. He's just about to go down, but he survives. Sahira gets a massive amount of damage.
Oh.
With the flash. Oh, my Lord. Dusty. They can't keep getting away with this.
Dusty on these tower dives, man. They just can't die.
They don't look
impossible.
dusty. They look polished. They look clean with these dives.
Very, very well oiled. And now Aleph on the top side, he's getting plays to himself as well. So, I mean, the only bad thing to come from this for Dusty is they didn't get to drop the Rift Herald anywhere. That's about it. After that,
I think Elif's going to take tower.
He's going to take the value, the base value at the very least, with the Herald. And, I mean, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop that Herald charge anyway. So they're going to get the tower in the delayed play. Vanir, if there's any silver lining at all, they have 2 dragons. Will they be strong enough to contest it? I don't know. This dive was as crisp as you could have really asked for. So many tools. I mean, just gravity well, turn
FGG
off
tanks
the
it
tower,
so
FGG
long
tower.
as well.
Yeah, it's just a really well executed dive, and Noodle just looking for scraps. There's just nothing he could really.
If there was a flash here on Nilly, this could have been the hero play.
I think he just needed ultimate, to be honest with you, and this teleport makes a little more sense, all in all. But I mean, it does stop the entire tower getting dropped.
I didn't realize he missed his ult.
Who?
Nilly. It's on cooldown. He missed his ult in that.
I don't think he did. I think it was off cooldown from the top side play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Barkland, great job as well. Flash away just to ensure that he doesn't get any more follow-up damage after taking down Sahira. And Venza, now that the plates have come off, will just take this tower happily either way. And what a performance from Dusty.
This is absolutely incredible stuff from them. Tower picked up for Venza. That is the first of the game. Oh, sorry, second. They took top lane, obviously, with the Rift Herald. Second tower of the game. Over to Dusty, all in the pocket of Venza. Can we have a quick look at the gold, please? See where we are. Oh, Kevo is... I would love to know the total amount of gold he's been down in the last 2 games, because that's probably bigger than some teams just lose with.
I will say that it's probably a stat we can ask for, because we can get the match history, I think. But
we'll try and find out about that one.
We'll try and find out about it, maybe. Either way, it's going to be close to 5 digits, given the pacing of this. As a top lane, Nile is forced to flash away from a potential gank on the side lane 15 minutes in. Map's going to open up a little bit now with those side lane towers being down, and this is where maybe the pace can slow down for Dusty unless they find more picks.
Oh, Nilly, Noodle, sorry, they find the knock up onto 2 members. That's actually the Stormbringer thrown down by Viking. Elif tanking up for the moment. He's just about able to survive. Gets another knock up, more Darkened Blade. Elif finds the kill, and now Kevo will pay the price. Elif gets himself a double kill, looking for the triple, but it's going to get taken away. The Everfrost will do diddly squat for you, Sahira. Everybody is chasing him down. Can he find these bounces? I don't think he can. He has no tower. He's going to look for Elif, but Elif's going to find him. The sustain is too big. Gets another lockdown with the Rune Prison, but these overloads are missing. Sahira's getting the bounce, getting the dump around. Can he get the damage? I don't think so. A polar bear will take him down.
Level 11 Aatrox with World Ender healing with no anti-heal. It's so disgusting, and honestly, Vanir, they almost get the damage in. I think it's auto Gore Drinker heal. The Ignite drops off as that second Darken Blade comes in, and 542 on the third Q there onto Kevo. And the collapse as well, it just comes in faster from Dusty. Nothing else to really say. Vanir just weren't able to find the initial picks and have that momentum swing in their favor. And Alif almost goes down to the damage. Misses out on the Gore Drinker healing, but fortunately has the backup in Viking and FGG to ensure that nobody dies again via a Dusty skirmish.
Dusty, they just came to play. I thought this, I genuinely believed this was going to be a 5-game series.
So did I.
And I mean, there's still room, but Dusty are putting a lot of work into making sure this is a very quick day, because they're just so crisp. This is a team who are very connected in what they're doing. All of the plays seem to be lined up and happening at the same time. The communication seems to be very clear. And Vanir, on the other hand, it seems like desperation. It seems like they're just trying every opportunity they can to find a fight, to find some way to claw this gold back. Sure, if they kill Venza, you get a lot of gold. He's worth a lot, but they're just committing constantly to try and find him, and it's getting them nothing. Okay. Noodle's on a flank here. I'm not so sure that flank's going to work out. I think he's just covering the top side, the bot side, where they've got 2 members pushing, but they're pushing versus a Rift Herald.
It's the best they could really hope for. Kevo throws out the Moonlight Vigil for Vision?
Yeah.
I suppose. That's a double teleport to the bottom side, by the way. I think they're fighting, actually.
They are fighting underneath that. Tower does go down, and it looks like this is getting pretty scrappy down there. The Needlework going to do a lot of work, but the towers are breaking out. Kevo loses his life once again. Quick Steph? You're fighting,
guys.
This is this game.
This game's done.
Wait, is this actually game?
This game is over, Jake.
We're not getting the Dancing Herald. It will die, but they're going to tank the towers to make sure that this is going to be it. They get charge number 1.
It's gonna live.
We're going to have a Dancing Herald.
It's a Dancing Herald.
19 minutes.
6 HP. Minions, don't kill it. Minion, no!
Well, that might have been an anticlimax ending to a very, very one-sided game. Dusty have shown up today as Vanir goes 0-2 to them. It is do or die now for Vanir. Their backs are well and truly to the wall. I'm speechless. I'm speechless at this game.
I don't really know what to say either. This is just Dusty playing better.
Yeah.
Plain and simple across the board.
Do you say lane and simple or plain and simple?
Plain and simple.
But lane and simple also makes sense, because they are making the laning phase look very simple.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, not to hark on narrative all the time, but we did say Dusty ahead at 15 minutes, 90% win rate.
Yeah.
Not only are they helping this stat, but they're making it look like it should be 100% of the time.
It's probably going up at the moment right now. It's going up. Well, it's time to feed the capitalist machine. We are going to go to some ads so you can watch those, and we'll be back with the analyst desk in a moment.
question is, what is happening?
Stop it, they're already dead. I told you.
What is this?
I'm going to take a note from Hiprain. I've learned a lot from him, and I'm not going to analyze the game because of the pit. So, you know, actually, I've got a fact for you instead. We're not going to analyze the game. Did you know that crows have the largest brain-to-body ratio of any animal? That's more interesting than anything that happened that game because it was such a stomp. How do you analyze that? What do you do?
I was not expecting this to be what it is today. It's really hard to analyze this
just to
game.
put a little bit of analysis into
we need
I
to.
think the bot lane for Vanir is getting giga-gapped right now. It is not funny. We're saying it with the utmost respect and seriousness. Something needs to happen for Venture and FGG to be shut down in some way, shape, or form.
What can he do?
Not draft them a dominant. You need to, as the side of Vanir, not allow the enemy comp to play heavily towards bot side and play with a dominant 2v2. Now, what we saw in that last Champions League was picking the Alistar to be like, oh, we might nullify that lane. I don't want to see that happen. I want to see them have the ability to say, we are picking a dominant 2v2. We don't have to pick reactively, and we don't have to pick, like, to nullify. Play to your strengths instead, and try and take away some of those bot lane tools yourself, maybe in your first couple of bans now.
I actually would either like this or you abandon bot lane. You are completely abandoned ship. You put Kevo on one of his best champions, which is Ezreal, which arguably, at least for me in the Nordics, Kevo is one of the best Ezreal players that we do have. So you put him on one of those picks, you give the other side of the map something like a mad scale into the game, and you have Quickset just roaming the map. Get Noodle ahead. You know Noodle can carry the games. Get Sahir ahead. I felt so heartbroken for Sahir in this particular game because I felt like he was playing his heart out. He was playing 1v3. He was playing 1v4. And you could see the passion. And even on this replay right now that's being played, like, had he have one teammate left alive, it could have been the difference maker.
And I think going back to Sahira, you know, you talked about bot lane and being like, oh, you kind of have to abandon ship there potentially. Sahira, in game one, I felt kind of similarly. We kind of hit on the solo lane saying, look, these solo lanes are not really doing their job at this point. They're suffering in an individual capacity in terms of how they're managing their lanes and stuff. It was better this game. They managed to fix some of the holes there. The question is, how many patches have you got left for your whole hull at this point? It is completely shot through. Where do you go to fix all of these issues? Maybe you just have to go for a completely different kind of draft and just flip the table and hope it lands on something to your advantage.
Yeah, because even though we are praising Noodle a lot, there's a bunch of fires on the map, and he only has one water hose, and he cannot patch all of them.
He's just trying to bail out water.
He's just trying to get on his track and try to go from lane to lane with one water hose, and it's just not enough because by that time, the whole forest has been burnt down.
Do you focus on one fire, then only one?
I just think you abandon shape in the bot lane. You either do this, which I find this to be the most difficult part, trying to pick the dominant bot lane might be a little difficult because of like how Vanir is 0-2 right now. So a lot of the times for a team is like, if we completely lose, how in the world do we win again? You abandon ship, you roam the entire map.
I think you go to a different patch of forest.
Yeah, exactly.
The forest is burned at this point. You know that if you're playing into this, I mean, sometimes your prep for a best of 5 just isn't what you need for that point. The other team has a better read. You need to change the scripts because this is, if you're continuing down this line, we've seen how badly this first team 2 games could go. I didn't think they could get that bad, yet here we stand. Got to change the script.
And also, all my predictions are going down the drain. We have to say that.
Don't worry, we're together on the boat.
I just want to say, before Vanir loses, every single one of you has gotten the lock-in champion of your choice. Any team, you're there. Any team that hovered Katarina to spite me and did not lock it in is bound to lose.
Is this like the new like Shock's monologue curse? Is this the Katarina hover curse?
He's correct. Every
well,
single
at least
team,
I'm not making them hover Katarina. It's their
That's
own
true.
fingers.
It's actually their own doing.
Every team hovered Katarina are losing.
Excel lost.
The champion
Let me
is
tell you.
cursed.
Let me tell you which other team has hovered Katarina without locking.
No, tell me so I can predict the other one.
It's Vanir.
Oh boy. So with that in mind, the champion is cursed, and this could be the final game of the day. I didn't think this was going to happen. I don't know what's the future, so we'll have to take a look at it after we come out.
See your future. It's very messy.
Welcome back. We jump straight up into Champion Select. Do or die for Vanir.
I mean, it's kind of die earlier or potentially die later for Vanir at this point too, because even if you snatch back a game now, it has to be a reverse sweep. It's so difficult to do that in a best of 5 scenario. Now, there is a big thing about
before.
Seen it so many times before. There is a big psychological advantage to getting that game after those two go down, right? Because there's the momentum of the series which can be played around, but still, but you don't even have a start of a blueprint to work on. It's very hard to even clutch at straws for what Vanir have managed to come out with. Now, Vanir have chosen blue side again. I don't even know which game was more crushing, though. The one there on blue side or the one that was on red side. The first game was like, is it a blue side issue? Apparently not.
I think you first pick the Rise here. If it stays open, you first pick the Rise. It's Sahira's best champion by far. You have to lock it in. I think if there was a slight glimpse of light in the entire series, in the entire 2 games, I think that was Sahira on his Rise. It's his most played champion. It's his best champion by far. You lock it in right here. You give Dusty the choice of ADC in this place. You let them play the ADC, you completely ignore bot lane, you go for an Ezreal or something, and you just choose a support that together with Sahira's Rise can roam around together with Noodle, try to shut down Viking, try to shut down the top side of the map, because bot side is clearly getting gapped. Abandon ship, Captain.
The question is, what can actually survive through a strong bot lane that Dusty picked towards? Because again, they could lock in an Aphelios, they can lock in a support in this first rotation, or like the first 3 picks as well. And then they ban out stuff which could potentially be problematic and leave themselves with an ability to can absolutely demolish your bot lane. What happens if they pick a Tristana in a lane where you can't wave clear against it and you get your tower shredded? What happens with that? So as much as say abandon bot lane, how do you abandon it safely at the same time?
You don't. That's why you put the Ezreal. It's the safest champion you can ever have.
It is a race between your strong side versus their strong side, and you just hope to all that is holy.
Oh, you definitely play Ezreal.
And Nile and Sahira can really start things rolling because they haven't been managing to stop that bot lane so far.
Okay, hear me out. You could also go... Yeah, do it.
You predicted?
It's the Hobbit.
There you
now,
go.
The question is, what do you link this up with? Do
Sees
you
the future?
Because you can go for the Karma. This is something which I was suggesting, right? Because you can lock in, just say, look, dominant 2v2, very little contest push against something like Ezreal Karma. Now, you can fight against an Ezreal Karma, and that's a problem because Rel is really good at fighting. And Karma can't stop you crashing down. Now, that's going to be a big problem if you lock in against something like a Triss, something like the Samira is also not bad here either. Of course, you can leave that till later. The question is if Vanir wants to, whether they can ban away enough AD carries that Venza will not be a threat. Either way, locking in Ezreal Karma against Rel is risky.
Also, if I may, you can also keep it as a flex. We saw Keck play
that's
the
true.
map
That's
with
true.
Grasp.
Yeah.
You can definitely play it into the 8 jokes. You can definitely play it on into any melee champions that A-Leaf plays and stay relatively safe as well. And then later on, you've got your Moonstone, you've got a bunch of damage as well. You become a second support to your team. I don't mind this. If they feel like the lane is too dangerous for a Karma to be in, you just swap her onto the top side of the map and you go on about your life. I just really like what Vanir has so far. They really needed a confidence boost. I think Kev on his Ezreal, Sahira on his Rise is very important because we mentioned like mentally it's not the best position to be in, the 0-2, knowing that one more game is all that differentiates
Backs
you
against the wall.
and going back to your house, right? So just play your best champions and hope for the best.
It's a Samira ban. They're looking into the AD carry champion
I
pool.
would be surprised to see Tristana
They
ban.
need to save the Ezreal. The Tristana should be banned as well. And then you have...
Aphelios.
You have Aphelios and you've got Tristana, which is on this table, which work more than fine with this combination. You need something that can dash forward and follow up, so that limits your options of like the real S-tier AD carries you can lock in alongside that, but still, you're probably looking at Dusty locking an AD carry on 4th and then still having blind pick for 5th. I mean, I like what they've locked in so far. They still have heavy dive, and there isn't a great amount of disengage on the other team.
Kai'Sa. If Tristana gets banned away here, because the previous bans from Vanir were the Kai'Sa alongside the Xayah, so this could very well be Venza going for the Kai'Sa. And she's traditionally an Ezreal counter as well.
Because actually when Kai'Sa was on her release patch, it's like, oh, she's quite low range, she can't deal with a lot of stuff. Yeah, but if you tag a W onto something like, even like a Caitlyn or an Ezreal, you dash in, you kill them. And particularly with Kai'Sa's power right now, with the ability to change builds between AP and AD, both are fine in this composition actually. When you've got AP locked in, you can still go towards them situation.
Look at the
ID,
dive. Look at the dive in the
heavy
back
dive.
line.
And the best thing for the side of Dusty right now is that, I mean, you might have shields on the other side, but where is your ability to actually pure disengage? There isn't a lot.
I'll
in
tell you
there.
where. You put the Kama top lane with Grasp, you lock in yourself a Tam Kench. You roam the map with Tam Kench, that Ezreal never gets touched the entire time. Okay, blind picking a Camille can be very dangerous. If Alif has a Fiora in his bag, with how all lanes have been playing so far, it's going to be very dangerous.
But the thing about the Camille is, though, it goes into what you were asking, saying, forget about bot lane, let's go somewhere else. So you can just say, let's play around the Camille.
Yeah.
Camille, what the heck is happening on the caster?
They're dancing.
They're dancing. They are definitely dancing. But when you have the ability to play through Camille and play through Noodle as well, going onto his favorite champion of the Xin Zhao, that is very distracting, guys.
You know what, though?
It's what you've asked for them.
When Noodles Xin Zhao goes in B5, untouched at all, we're talking about one of the best early game ganking junglers in our entire league that gets his champion after 5 bans of the champion not being touched. You know that Noodle has not made a difference in the entire series. Now it's his time to prove that he can make a difference. We have Kevon on Ezreal once again, Sahira on his rise. They need to be the difference makers.
This is a beautiful reply, though. Now you can
ninjas
roam
in one
as
team?
well. Yes, 2 Shans.
Yeah.
2 Shans.
Yeah.
Oh, one is Akali.
But we are going to have the submarine either way. We're going to have the ability to go just hit Shen on top of a diving Kai'Sa, on top of a diving Akali. Even someone like the Rel isn't bad. And just put them on anyone, get them into the backline.
Just press R, man.
I mean, this screams really heavy dive, and there isn't a great ability to deal with that on the other side.
The mentality is in favor of Dusty so far. They know they can just dive. They're comfortable. They have 2 games leading into this last one, possible last one. I don't know. It is time to defend for your lives, to fight for them, or Dusty to move on deeper into the playoffs. They're really comfortable so far. So, Hiprain and Jamada, what's going to happen?
I think we're going to see a lot of tower diving. That's what I think. I looked at that Dusty comp and went, wow, Shen, Volibear, Rel, Kai'Sa, Akali. That is 5 champions who don't mind tower diving. You can turn those towers off with the Volibear. The Shen comes in, submarine style.
Yeah.
Like, Dusty have shown us through this series that they are super crisp at tower diving. And now they've just drafted even more dive than before.
Yeah, I think you nailed all of the analysis points, actually.
Sorry, mate, doing your job for you.
No, it's all right. No, yeah, I do worry for Vanir in the sense of Dusty have been executing these tower dives so well throughout the series so far. And now that...
That is a duck, not a chicken.
It's a duck, not a chicken production. Get it right. And his name is Michael. I can't remember what the Hapgood brothers were calling him. Something to do with Destroyer of Worlds, Eater of Universe.
Yeah, something like that. I was about to combine duck and chicken, and then I realized either way, that's bad. I can't say that on air, so I'm just gonna... Twitch chat, you can spam it. I don't get in trouble for that.
Yeah, I'll let that one stand over you. As a Vanir, okay, so a little bit of adaptation. So Dusty, game 1 and 2, they're going for these sort of over the objective pit plays. Ooh. Now the issue is, they've gone for something different. Vanir have stacked because there's a ward that they've got on top of Venza Barkland and FGG, and this is going to be a face check!
Action's coming, they're jumping in, FGG flashes away, but the Ignite is ticking down. Noodle's looking for him, one last auto, the heal from Venza, FGG is down! First blood to Sahira.
Okay, but what got blown for that? That's the important thing to track, because okay, Sahira now is going to be able to base and get a tier, which is actually going to be, well, it shouldn't really impact his lane that much anyway. He would have had priority to begin with, but now he's stacking it early. He's got a slightly bigger mana pool to work with, and that's definitely a bigger deal. But Sahira blew Flash, and so did Kevo.
Yeah.
Kevo blew Flash less than 2 minutes into game 2. What happened to Kevo in game 2, Jake?
Kevo, well, same thing that happened to him in game 1. He died a lot.
Yeah, so let's see if there's a repeat there. Now, this time, of course, Kevo on a slightly safer champion in terms of dealing with ganks inside the Ezreal. And we'll have a Calm to shield him. And of course, being able to dash away from the likes of
Shields don't mean much when Rel can just go and turn him off.
That's also a really good point. So,
that's what makes this a bit of an interesting pick. Is Kevo forced to heal just to get the movement.
Oh, but now FGG can't remount.
But FGG in a lot of trouble with that. He burned both
Dead.
some of the spells. Quick Zephyr secured the kill. Venza is just going to have to give up so much priority in this lane as Quickstep's going to continue to trade onto him, and Venza now has to be so careful. Gets his Hail of Blades back, but there is just an onslaught of damage landing into him.
And Dusty, spoken about them as a bit of a confidence team. How they feel. Kevo not going to be able to find any more damage. Actually missed XP unlike Quickstep somehow, a level down. Maybe when they walked forward, something like that, walked backwards on the trade, hard to say. But Dusty, I think, showing that maybe their mentality is truly just aggression right now with that dive in from FGG, trying to find Kevo with no flash. It makes sense, but once you miss, that happens.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that early flash onto FGG, then a bit of an optimistic jump in onto Sahira. Just because he didn't have flash didn't mean that Rel isn't a champion that could be punished if she misses her abilities. She's super slow. She's very slow. I think she's got the slowest movement speed in the game, right? Dismounted.
Dismounted. Kled might want to have a word with you. Demounted.
Yes. Anyone with a pony.
Anyone with a pony.
Because they're lazy. They don't use their legs much. FGG is a hex flash forwards. Kevo does have shift though, so I think this is now way harder to punish him. They are trying to wait it out. There's the shift. That's it. He's dead. Bye-bye, Kevo. Nice knowing your friend. Venza gets the kill.
All right. Good punish. And all right. Like we said, Viking, what did he do in game 2? When there was no flash on Kevo, he ganked bot lane. What's he done in game 3? Now there's no flash on Kevo, he's ganked bot lane. And now Noodle, full clear all the way up to the top side. Alif doesn't have the wave in the best position, and Nile is going to hold it here for a little while. Certainly going to be uncomfortable here.
Securing the freeze, although he's missing a couple of minions.
But still, job accomplished.
Oh.
And actually, I think cancelled recall from Noodle. Really waiting his time here. And if Alif shows Envision, which he has, maybe he cancels again. But no, just going to go back. Feels like he'd be wasting too much time. And obviously, the key worry for Vanir moving into game 3, not only are they 0-2 down, naturally, but it's the way that the bot lanes have gone for the last 2 games. I think despite the regank that's just happened,
that was sad.
Probably still a little more comfortable than a game 1 and 2 already. But for me, it's just about sort of that level 6 point onwards.
Yeah.
Right? In the next sort of like 4-ish minutes, give or take, when, you know, Stand United comes online, Barkman might be able to chase Sahira down the river, etc. Dusty have been so clean on these tower dives. I am still worried for Vanir.
Oh my word.
That's a lot of damage. And I mean, this is like kind of the... I mean, it's the classic champion for Sahira, if you remember last year.
Oh, nearly. Ooh. Does need to be a little bit careful here. If Elif lands the taunt, which he does.
Yeah, he's dead.
Oh, nearly. Yep. Hook shot will not save you today. Viking gets his 2nd kill.
And that's just greedy.
That was very greedy.
There's just nothing else to say about it. Viking, you have to expect at this time where he's going to be top lane because he showed bot on the gank 2 minutes previous.
Vanir did keep their streak of 100% first dragons in this series, though.
Yeah, they do. And granted, Vanir actually aren't in flat gold down at the moment, which is better than what they can say for the first 2 games.
Yeah, let's have a look at where that gold is, shall we? Okay, 80 carries equal. This is the first time. Well, difference, by the way, we were given it in the break.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to Namira. 10,000 between them over the last 2 games, between Kevo and Venza. So that's a pretty large lead, considering the games have totaled about 40 minutes.
Yeah, they're going for the G2 TL record.
They really are. What is that again?
Off the top of my head, it's about 70 minutes.
I mean,
there's room for it to happen.
There is room. But
I think though that's international tournaments. I'm not sure if that's
I don't know
domestic.
if we count. Yeah. I'll find out the total game time. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, sure. Also, I think that was a finals. I'm not too sure. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe Dusty can make this game 3 a quick 3-0 for the series tie-up. But for now, not setting the same pace that was set in game 1 or 2. And I think some of that can be said mostly because, you know, a lot of these champions want to wait till level 6 till they get a little more aggressive after those sort of early pre-5-minute plays. And Vanir's champions, they're all safer in most of these lanes too. You know, Sahira's always going to have priority and first move and the ability to control the wave. Kevo, Quickstep, very, very safe. Hook shot as well on Nile means when he's not stepping forward to do whatever he was doing in the top lane previous. Lee, he is typically very safe. So we'll see as Noodle's got this invade going, and actually it's just a red buff trade on both ends here between the two junglers. Albeit Viking is actually significantly up in XP. Going to be over half on the way to level 7, whilst Noodle, that red buff, didn't even tick him over to level 6 himself.
Viking's now 6. Viking can now tower dive.
Oh boy.
Venza did just eat a empowered inner flame, but I don't think this is going to do too much. They just do the old switcheroo. Kevo thinks he's safe, and now Elif has actually tanked in, forced a flash out from Kevo as well.
Yeah.
And the crisp, clean tower diving that we have come to expect from Dusty continues into this game.
And much worse, what's happening with the top lane wave? Because I think they're not even really going to miss anything for this Elif. He'll get back to a majority of this wave as well. And because of the time of the play, Vanir don't even get themselves the Rift Herald. FGG will have his base stopped, so nice from Kevo to at least get that down. But yeah, what? It's going to be the melees, maybe 2 ranged creeps at worst in terms of XP. Elif can walk away happy with this dive. Sure, the Camille will get the plate, and finally the Herald will be started up.
It's going to be Vanir, so they're definitely being more proactive.
Sure.
Right now. I will give them that. Elif actually looking for Nilly. He's got a nice trade with the taunt. Vikings coming in. In comes the Realm Warp as well. Nilly needs to land this hook shot. Looks to turn it around. They interrupt it. But Nilly's just going to die. Elif with a Balmy Cinder able to find the kill. But now Noodle jumping in. Here's the Void Seeker. Venza can jump forward if he needs. Quicksef secures the kill. Now Quicksef needs to run away as Venza is hunting him down.
I still think it's a bit of a nightmare scenario for Vanir, to be honest with you. Nile dies 1v1.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately they got the Herald, but Sahira having his Realm Warp interrupted, I'm not actually too sure how either. Maybe the replay will reveal to us what happened.
He didn't go in it.
He just walked.
Sahira!
Sahira! I mean, I'm not sure it would have made much of a difference to the outcome on the top side, but...
Yeah, maybe. These are the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. By the way, just so you know, the total combined time of our 2 games is 46 minutes.
Oh.
By the way, FGG is jumping onto Quicksef, looking to speed this up.
Yeah.
As Quicksef jumped in. Venza able to chase him down and find himself a rampage kill. Half health from Kevo as well.
What a series this Dusty bot lane are having, and an immediate replay as well. Level on the Hex Flash channel.
That is so sad.
Pings over to level 6. I mean, my only assumption is calculated, so well played. Venza and FGG between you. And apparently safety just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In the bottom lane isolated 2v2 at all.
Well, this is the thing, is... Do you remember when Ezreal was more meta and Kai'Sa was typically picked as a champion into Ezreal?
Yep.
Yeah, this is why.
Yeah, I know that.
You just chase him down with a killer instinct.
Just doesn't feel balanced, does it?
Well, I think it feels balanced. Though.
Well, it feels
this
balanced,
is the rock,
but-
paper, scissors nature of League of Legends.
I'm glad you can play rock, paper, scissors. Actually, I know that because I lost you.
Yes, you did. I lost the trouble, although she cheated. Anyway, Elif's getting jumped onto. Rune Prison's in. That is one dead Elif. So Vanir do find themselves a cheeky kill. So Hero has the Rift Herald. So they're actually looking for something, although Backland has got no... Well, they're actually FGG's in their pocket.
FGG's finally hit now, but I think it's going to be too late. So finally, a little bit of proactivity.
I like
out
this
of
from
Vanir.
Vanir.
It only took 57 minutes of game time. But here we go.
They are relevant.
Sorry. Rather, I think that's actually that's an unfair statement. What I should say is successful proactivity.
Yes.
From Vanir.
They're actually
they
heading
have
goal.
tried to be proactive. So they get this tower. It will be traded out across the map for this dragon.
Yeah, continuing the stat of Vanir take the first one, Dusty take the second one.
I think actually Vanir had Dragon 1 and 2 in game 2.
Oh no.
I think you'll find.
You sure?
Yeah, relatively confident in that.
Also, Hero's going to try and keep that one going then.
Oh, no smite on Viking.
Yeah, they don't have the smite, so it is going to get secured. FGG securing it. Venza slides forwards. Oh my word. You can't do it to them. They have families, FGG.
And
oh no, Kevo.
Kevo is now potentially the next victim.
He's going to do a lot of damage to Venza, but okay.
Oh, that's a lot of damage done to Kevo. FGG.
FGG?
He's alright.
One more? No, he's alright.
And FGG stands for something. Can't say the first part of the name, but I can say God Gary is what FGG stands for, and he's playing like one at the moment throughout this series. Absolutely phenomenal from the bottom side of Dusty. And they will, at the very least, deny away the potential of a very early soul pickup from Vanir. As yet, no smite from either jungler. And it just comes down to the crash down, gravity well?
Oh, it's
crash
the
down.
Magnet Storm, right?
Yeah, I think it was the Magnet Storm. But either way, it doesn't matter to Vanir, as they're the ones that lost the dragon and they lose 2 kills. And did Kevo just come back from base?
Kevo's just had the most sad series I've ever seen an AD carry have in a best of.
Yeah, this is reminiscent. This is a bit of a weird call out. This was, I think, NLC 4. I can't remember what team it was, but it was Jack Spectra.
Oh,
All right, I'll hold it.
Gonna get himself caught out. Has got himself the shield, but that's not gonna work versus Zahira. And Nilly able to pick up the kill. Vanir definitely being more proactive. I'll give it to them on here. Bot lane is still a problem, but at least they're being proactive elsewhere. And I'm glad that Trouble hit on Zahira on the Rise, because this is his signature pick.
Yeah, right. The Rise and the Victor. If you think back to his Granite split, it was almost a bit of a meme. If you came up against Granite, you had to ban Victor and Rise. Otherwise, you would just have Zahira on a super comfortable champion, which he could 1v9 on. And right now, I think one thing that could potentially be an issue, albeit with the amount of mobility available to many of the Dusty champions, it may not be, is if Vanir start to lean more into side laning whilst these objectives aren't up, right? The Dragon, etc. Barkland, gonna eat a fair amount of poke. But if they lean into the 1v1-3-1, I think it's definitely a strength that they could utilize out of their composition, especially as Nile eventually will become very difficult to deal with. And Barkland really is going to be the only person that could potentially stand up to him 1v1. FGG looking for an angle here, but I think the mobility of the Vanir champion should be able to get them out of danger.
Can be doing a fair amount of damage with those true shot barrages into FGG.
Yeah, so I will say, right, Dusty's composition is very one-dimensional. It just wants to kill things. It wants to move forward and dive.
Forward the comp.
Forward the comp. Like, if this is a movie and you had a film poster of what you wanted from a dive composition, you had a couple of options. This would be a pretty decent 5 to have on the poster, I would say. For Vanir, they can leverage, like I was just saying, the split push. Melee, I think, eventually won't really be able to be contested on a side lane. But also, the range can start to become a factor, because Dusty's actual operational ranges when it comes to the engage is relatively short when you think about it. It's only FGG's crash down plus a flash. They have to find the chase down, and speaking of chase down,
it's a perfectly executed lockdown onto Noodle. He gets the heal off the Gore Trigger, flashes away. Zahira's overloading and unloading the damage onto these two members. Able to dodge out as Vendor gets him. Venza is able to get him.
It's vending out death.
He is vending out Void Seekers.
That's all right.
Oh, Magnet Storm jumping in. Venza with the perfect execution. Kevo is popped. Zahira has no backup. Actually, Lily comes in. The overloads are going to do so much work here. Venza, and they got nothing. They're losing everyone. A double kill's been picked up. It's going to get traded back. In comes the backup from Dusty. Backland eats the E. Zahira just needs a little bit more damage, and he might be able to make this work, but Backland might
the Shuriken
go
flip.
for it. The Shuriken flip goes wide. Now he has to protobelt as Zahira's chasing him down. Zahira has no flash, but he's cutting him off. He's chasing him down. They're spotting him out as Elif is in the area.
Back away,
Zahira can see him though. Backline jumps in, flips on. Zahira misses the kill. Elif with the kill. The true shot is flashed away. Noodle, can he make this work? Can he find revenge for the team? He has to land the E. Gets it onto Elif. Is he gonna follow? I don't think he will. Dusty, it's probably the least clean dive we've seen from them, but they still walk away the victors.
It's still criminal though, isn't it? At the end of the day, to be able to walk out with that many members alive in a dive like that. But I think, crucially, in comparison to Game 1 and Game 2, the goal difference isn't as big. This is a playable position now for Vanir. We might be able to actually get to see them play the game, as Noodle, I think, got sniped by, Void Seeker on the bottom end of the team fight there. And then FGG and Venza, without the backup of Barkland and Viking, just say, we can probably make this dive work. Stand United comes in as well, and that's definitely a help. But Nile, with that hook shot, finds all 3 members, able to clean up FGG with the tactical sweep as well. It's really well executed by Nile on the return kills, but Dusty, a bit of an overchase after that into the choke. You saw all of the damage unloaded by Zahira, and if this Shuriken flip lands, I don't know. I don't think he'd really have the damage anyway. But it's the overchase that comes after that as
Backland? Nilly's just got him locked, and he's going to use the Shroud. Totally executes out.
God.
The Shuriken Flame.
Oh, no!
Back up! FGG! That was absolutely flawless. Nilly, they're trying to dodge away and everything. The hook shot's not going to come up, and Viking will maul him for the kill.
I think Vanir had it right in game 1 when they removed away Rel from FGG, to be honest with you. And this Herald is also going to get the charges to the mid lane tower. So Vanir, they will find that at the very least. But it just doesn't feel like it's going to open up the map. And speaking of opening up the map,
Oh, Kevo.
Oh, Viking. Never mind,
Oh,
doesn't matter.
Kevo. That is the saddest AD carry alive.
And I think I can finally make my callback now, because I remember Jack Spectra, all the way back in NLC fall 2020, was getting absolutely manhandled in the bottom lane. Wasn't his fault. He was just getting 3-man dive, 4-man dive every single couple of waves. Reminiscence of that from Dusty. I think Dusty were in the game. In fact, I think Jack Spectra was on Dusty. Anyway, it's a very weird callback.
Oh, yeah,
It's just something that I got reminded of because of how heavily Kevo is just not being allowed to play League of Legends this series.
This has to be a game where an AD carry, you just need the strongest mental in the world.
You really do.
To be able to survive this.
You know when they say to play League of Legends solo queue, you do need like strong mental. This is, I mean, it's competitive play, but you're getting a bit of a case study as to why you might need a strong mentality to grind through some of these games. Speaking of the game, Nile, he does have a Ravenous Hydra now, so on the side lane, he is going to be a bit of a nuisance to deal with. This is a very strong Camille. So, again,
It's a very strong Camille. Got the shutdown onto Venza.
Yeah.
2 items. It's going to be a split pushing Menace. And I think the kind of key thing to take away from this game so far is Vanir look way more competitive.
Yes.
They are still down in gold, but they have been up in gold.
The issue is they need to look a little more than competitive because their backs are against the wall. They're already 2 games down.
Yes.
So they're going to have to start finding something soon because Dusty, at the moment, I will say, they're the ones with all the agency to do what they want on the map right now, and that's why I was seeing so many towers go down.
FGG started it again. Kevo, a 5th time, shall he fall?
Rampage.
Kevo literally can't step near anything without
He's
dying.
playing Ezreal, and that's the worst part about it. The safety net just doesn't matter. It just doesn't exist. I mean, it's mostly just credit to Dusty and how willing they are to dive so deep underneath these towers and make them look so clean.
I think if Vanir pull a miracle out the hat and make this go to a game number 4, we need to see the Rel ban. We need to see the Volley Bear ban, because these 2 champions combined has been so oppressive from the side of Dusty.
It's been more than oppressive, to be honest with you. Is there a word above oppressive? I'm not too sure, but we'll see what Vanir can do to come back from this hole. I mean, again, it's not as bad as the previous 2 games, but there's just a feel about the game. I think when you see Venza with 3 items, and
I think it's just the mentality that Dusty have right now, right? They got 2 games up very, very convincingly. They know they're ahead in this game. You don't even have to do simple maths. You can see the gold lead, you can see the tower lead, you can see the objective lead. Dusty are very confidently ahead right now. They've secured Baron 20 minutes into this game, and we could be looking at a very monstrously quick series as Elif being spotted out by Nilly. Nilly is just waiting out the Shroud, is going to be able to make his way out, has a lot of sustain, so he's okay to take that trade and just walk away. But Elif still has that ultimate available, and I think that's the scary thing, is he doesn't need to be in a side lane. Nilly has to either perfectly interrupt him.
Elif just has to stand there and make sure that Nile doesn't really get anything achieved. They're going to try and find some kind of flank off of Nile's hookshot here onto somebody, but it's just not coming together. And now Dusty, if they want, they can turn, to be honest with you.
Oh my word, Venza, the mad lad, has done it. Noodle flashes away, but Viking will chase him down. In with the ultimate, the dunk comes in. The true shot barrage, FGG with a 3-man Magnet Storm as Backlund secures yet another kill. Sahira will fall next, and it's gonna be even more. Backlund flashes over the wall. Kevo going oh so low. The heal will save him for now, but the Shuriken flip will secure his death. Backlund stopwatches the tower shot, and Quicksef is the only one standing. This is Dusty showing up with yet another dive, with yet another aggressive play. The calculation from this team this series has been flawless. They've got Baron, they've got 5 members, and they've got the death timers in their favor. Quicksef and Noodle are gonna have to pull off a miracle to save this game. Tower number 1 goes down. Tower number 2 will be quick to follow as Noodle gets run down, chased down, Shuriken flipped onto, and taken out one more time as Nilly falls. Venza just padding the KDA. They do find a kill onto Elif, and Vanir are gonna find themselves the flank. They're teleporting in. It's do or die. This is moment for Sahira. Can he make the miracle happen for his team? He's got the flank, he's got the overload, he's got the damage, he's got the true shot barrage to back him up, and FGD able to dodge out, able to stun up and buy time for the team. The Honey Fruit's gonna slow everyone down. Backlund is gonna chase it. They're going for the bounties, they're going for the kill, but this is gonna be Sahira losing his life as Venza's able to find the kill. A perfectly executed ultimate from Backlund. The flash from Quicksef. Backlund will chase him down. Everybody falls. It's only Noodle standing.
I don't think they can end though, Jake. Unfortunately, the death timers, they're a little bit too staggered. But Dusty already fangs primed to make this a 3-0. And one exceptional performance they put on for us. Venza dives in, has the attract repel stun. It's Viking that finishes it off with the ultimate. And then from there, the dive is as easy as you like. Gravity Well comes in from FGG. And the follow-up always going to be clean. Sahira goes down to Alif. And Backlund really playing on the limits of this Akali this game.
Just landing every Shuriken flip. He does one later, the stopwatch saving his life. Backlund has played amazing. I think we've done a massive amount of shout-outs to Viking and FGG because these two combined have been a driving factor for Dusty. But Backlund, 2 games in a row, has taken this Akali into the Rise and quite happily piloted it and really made it work. So honestly, while this whole team has been on form, there's been a couple of members who've really stood out to me here, and Backlund is one of those guys. And it looks like this might just be it. Dusty pushing up, waiting for this wave. The teleports are coming in, and
the Vikings
joining up. Backlund's looking for it. Vikings going to jump in. They get the taunt off, and now the true shot will cut through everyone. Backlund's low HP, but the Nexus has been exposed. FGG is jumping in with the Magnet Storm as Venza is unloading. He's got himself a double kill, making a triple kill. Kevo might just be falling next. It's another double picked up. It's the ace, and just like that, Dusty free over Vanir.
Everyone at home, here on the analyst desk as well, we just thought 3-2. Either way, not sure what way it would go. We thought it would be a very close series. Dusty don't care about expectations, very clearly.
Shattered them. I mean, like, people did predict Dusty. People did predict Vanir. But, you know, even for the Dusty supporters, I think that shattered expectations. I didn't actually get the time at the end of that game, but we are looking at, I think it's 68 minutes, 69 minutes for a series.
Close.
That was just over an hour for all 3 games. That was absolutely flawless from Dusty.
Absolutely. And obviously, I think naturally, like, commiserations to Vanir. It's tough to come out into a series where, obviously, 1, you're probably expecting to win anyway, but 2, come out and then get, I'm just going to say it, smashed. In 3 games like that. It does feel bad, but you showed a very, very strong showing throughout the regular split. And I think you can be happy that you got here.
Yeah.
Dusty just came out and played a better game today. And it is as simple as that.
Dusty are clearly not very rusty. If whoever's playing them next, they really need to think about
Riddle.
Riddle. So Riddle really need to think about the Volibear, the Rel, that tower, that diving. This team are, I'm confident to say they are the best tower diving team we've got in the league right now. They were just so on point with that. Absolutely beautiful stuff from Dusty. But for us here at the caster desk, this isn't the analyst desk, this is the caster desk. We are done. We're going to throw it to a break. And when we are back, we're back with the analyst to break that down. Jamada, it's been a pleasure, buddy.
And welcome back to the post show. I did not expect this so soon, but here we are after the clean sweep coming in from Dusty. Aggressiveness in the early game, non-stop, and they secured 3 games in a row. Obviously, I'm together with Trouble and Nymera.
Wait. So we had a stat at the start. It was 90-something% if the winning in the early game.
91.5, yeah.
That percentage just went up after the series, no?
Percentage are beautiful.
I mean, like I said, I like standout stats. I don't like regular stats.
Well,
They don't
that
tell you
came
anything.
true. Whatever he told you came true.
The first time I brought in stats, they work 100% win rate with
Okay, you
my
get to do
stats.
all this. I'm not going to do any more stats now. If you hear a stat on broadcast, it's him.
Well, at least you know they'll be good. Now, with that in mind, let's jump into the interview for today. We have Zen, Dusty coach, for the interview after the clean sweep of 3-0. I mean, you got to be smiling today.
Oh, yeah, we're all very, very happy about today. It was an amazing performance.
Okay, we have a lot to digest and talk about, Zen. Obviously, we had a big conversation about this series and the way you guys were going to play. But did you expect this amount of savagery coming in from Dusty?
Well, I mean, we were going into the series quite confident. Obviously, we had, we were aware that, for example, the Riddle versus Excel series, right? It went quite poorly for them, even though they went in thinking that, it's probably going to be a victory. So we were a little bit held back by that, right? If we take it too easy, if we think, oh, this is just going to be a free win, then it's really easy to lose, right? So we went in respecting Vanir. We went in playing to our hearts out. We did really extensive preparation for them, and it paid off in the end.
At the beginning of the game, you got invaded, well, Viking got invaded instantly with the flash over the Baron pit, and it seemed like it ended a little bit of the Viking clear jungle at the beginning of the first game. But it seemed like the bot lane was a big difference, a big gap at the bot lane. Was this something that you told your players, okay, we're going to work for the bot lane, the way you played the Caitlyn Lux again, that actually brought in results for the second game between Dusty and Vanir during the regular split? It worked out as well at the first game of the day. Were you planning on playing for the bot lane, or was this like a straight up gap?
I mean, I think it was a little bit of both. I think our bot lane had a fantastic performance today. I think that they were definitely the standouts. But right, everybody on the team still had to do a lot to get their bot lane there, right? Viking and Anton had a fantastic game, right? His pathing was really good. Whenever he got invaded, he bounced right back. He was really smart in tracking the enemy jungler. So he created a lot of that space for bot lane. Obviously, our bot lane 2v2 gap the enemy bot lane as well, right? Like our bot lane played amazingly. The 2v2 skill gap was really out of this world this game. But then on the other hand, right, we also had Alif in the top lane who soaked a lot of early game jungle pressure from the enemy team, mid game jungle pressure for the enemy team that allowed their bot lane to play a little bit more relaxed. Likewise, for example, maybe we didn't give the champions to Backlund where he could, at least in the early game, showcase what he can do, but he still played really well in the mid game, soaked that pressure early, and then came back bouncing. So I think that everybody today really played incredibly well.
Okay, but kind of bring the picture out again. Obviously, everyone played fantastically well, as you were saying, but where do you now rate this bot lane, actually, in particular? If you're going to go focus it down to these two people and you say, okay, these two guys played so well today, where do you rate them against the rest of the remaining NLC bracket? And how good do you feel going forward into that bracket as a team?
Well, if I'm honest, right, if my bot lane is feeling confident, right, if Vanir and FGG are on their game, they're feeling relaxed, they're feeling like they can take on anyone, then I think they're the best bot lane in NLC.
That's what I wanted to hear.
By far.
By far.
Okay.
Yes,
we have Forgiven in the NLC.
By far, I do think that they have very few off days. If you catch them on an off day, then I think it gets close. But I think if they're feeling it, then it's not even close.
All right, since your bot lane then is by far the best in the NLC,
I love the history
I'm
of
going
that
to
card,
raise
by the
you
way.
another card. I think Buckland and Viking have been progressing and developing in the entire league. Like, they literally went 0 to 100 really quickly together as a duo. Now, I raise you my my Riddle card right here, because slow Q was also really low when we were rating them at the very beginning. And I think the slow Q MC show versus Excel was also pretty huge. How do you see these two clashing together, obviously, on the next game incoming? And thank you for also putting us on the same.
Well, I do think that Riddle obviously surprised everyone taking down Excel, right, including us. And MC played really well. He's definitely a big confidence player, and in that series he was playing with a lot of confidence, and it paid out for them. Also, I think maybe on a different day, Excel could have also turned it around. Maybe it was a bit of an unfortunate day, but definitely Riddle showed up really big on that day. Showed everybody that they can win even against the best teams in the league. And so we definitely going into their series, mid lane 2v2. Not sure how much of it is going to be a factor. I think that it depends kind of a little bit on the draft. Depends a little bit on how the players are feeling that day. But I do think, more so than it was a mid lane plus jungle show for Riddle, I think it was just the Bimbo show. I mean, sorry, the MC show. I think he was the big driving force behind their win.
All right, MC versus Viking, bring it.
Let's see what's going to happen. Zen, obviously, thank you for another interview. Obviously, we have to sit down and talk again before the next show, Riddle versus Dusty. It's going to be a lovely one, and congratulations. Go celebrate. It was a massive victory, and Dusty are really well in this bracket. So thank you so much.
Thank you again, and thank you to all
Bye.
the fans that follow Dusty. Bye.
Yeah.
Can I just say again, you know, obviously we talked about like driving forces, MC being the driving force of Riddle, and obviously FTG turned out to absolutely play today. Just a quick reminder again, we said a lot throughout this split as well, but for those of you who are only tuning in for playoffs or just for this show, FTG at the start of last split was in like amateur, below amateur. He was in the UKEL qualifiers at the start of last split, like tier 4 or 5 or whatever it ends up being at. Jumps up to NLC in the middle of that split. You know, does a fine job, but, you know, it's their first split in the NLC. They come in now and they're smashing, cracking heads in the playoffs. What an absolute glow-up this player has been alongside the rest of the team, which is standing up to meet him.
He's
Also,
part of the best
Take
bot
his
lane.
statement and make it even better. He's talking about FTG. He mentioned the jungle. I just want to mention pure jungle. I feel like both of these series that we have watched, yes, the bot lane diff was pretty huge, but I think it's been a pretty big jungle gap as well. Like, think MC versus Dan. I felt like Dan was pretty invisible on the map, and MC had taken over pretty much like all 3 games that they won. Even like the first one that they lost, he had already taken over from there. This one, I feel Viking did not fall short. He got invaded. He got his camps taken from him.
He adapted on the
He
fly
was
really
so
well.
quick
Yeah.
into exactly adapting and figuring out different paths and routes that he wants to work around. I feel like jungle is such a crucial part of every single team that you cannot allow yourself to fall short even on one game.
Junglers in NLC are really, really aggressive, and it shows in the end the result that aggressiveness brings. And with this in mind, let's see the results for today and what we're going to have.
Don't. I lost my
I'm gonna-
prediction.
Avert
Everybody
your eyes if
loves
you're
the
of an
prediction.
easily disturbed nature.
There we go. So Dusty getting the 3-0 versus Vanir means that they will face off each other with Riddle on the second round of the losers bracket. Now, next game, it is Bifrost versus X7. None of these over Katarina, so predictions are
They're safe. They're
They're
safe.
safe. They're safe.
It's gonna go hopefully to 5 games. We're safe here.
Like, I would just say, like, I mean, if you'd asked me to like do a crayon drawing of a playoff graphic while I was like not really thinking about things, maybe it would have ended up closer to this than I was actually if I'd actually thought about the graphic. Like, this is so out there from all of what I would have predicted, and it's great to see that we have these teams that can step up and challenge our expectations. But like, it's not good for my heart.
I love it. And NLC is just stepping up. I mean, every ERL should be afraid of NLC. I'm warning you. Now, for the prices play of the day by MasterCard, let's see what they prepared for this. Like the play that
If it's not FTG on Red, I don't want it.
it has to be. It has to be. Production, show us the prices play of the day. It is FGG, but a messy play nonetheless.
You know what? I think these are the plays that are so cool to watch because even though, yes, they're messy, you see the confidence. They don't leave. They stick around. They know they can outplay this. And oh, Sahira, bless your poor soul, man. Bless your poor soul.
Now, there's something which we like to say. It's called a hand check. You just check if the enemy players have just have their hands on the keyboard, and sometimes they do. And Backlund had like, he was like playing with 2 pairs of arms. He had
To be honest, I felt like Buckland played this game with one hand. It looked that easy. I'm sorry, but it looked that freaking easy.
I gotta say, he stepped up as well. We're getting a lot of step up in playoffs. We talked about that previously. Best of 1 means a lot, obviously, during the regular split. But when you jump into that best of 5, it's quite different. The mentality, the adaptation throughout the series. And this is exactly what we're seeing from junglers and mid laners as well.
all of that. I mean, when you come into the best of 5, you start questioning some of the players that haven't shown that much in best of 1s. I was particularly worried about, for the side of Dusty, FGG. Of course I was, because I was sat there thinking, well, his Rels look really good. Oh, he's had an okay Leona, you know, that's
Yeah.
been good too. But where does this really end? And is this going to be deep enough for a full best of 5? Now, we didn't see his champion pool fully pushed. I'm wondering what will happen in the
There
next
were
round.
other problems on the map.
This is the thing. There are other problems out there. And the question is, if you come up against a team that is on form, on firing on all cylinders, and if Riddle turns out to play and you fully ban out this player, I wonder what happens when Dusty don't have this absolute mega superstar performance out of the support that played so well today. However, we did see it not just be the Rel today. It was the Rel plus a couple of other things too. If that actually goes deeper in a best of 5 setting, that's terrifying.
So
I'm excited.
tell-
I'm excited to watch them versus Riddle because if Riddle come fired up as they were versus Excel, I think this series is going to be extremely insane to watch. Like, I mean, MC versus Viking, I think
that's
it's,
gonna
yeah, I
be crazy.
cannot.
But before that, we do have the first seed versus the second one. This Saturday, Bifrost versus X7. Get ready to rumble. That is going to be beautiful.
You
And
must
with
stick
that,
it.
we're going to wrap up the day, but don't go anywhere because we have a post-show in Riddle stream where they're going to debate what happened today and how they're feeling facing off versus Dusty. So I'll see you this Saturday for another game of playoffs. It is X7 versus Bifrost. I'll see you soon. Bye!
Three, two, one, go!